All right, so the live streaming for the session has now been started. I have also added the streaming link in the calendar event. I am sharing the streaming link here as well for all of your reference. Okay, I guess it has already been shared. Okay, great. So let me start presenting my screen and let's start from where we left in the last session. Can you please confirm if my screen is visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. So I am hoping that the instructor would have taken till question number 15 in the last session. So I am resuming from question number 16. All right. So this is the very first question that we have. And here we are given a simple JavaScript program and we are expected to answer or pick one of the questions that are given here in these options. And ultimately we have to find out what will this program yield as the output once it is executed. So let's see what is happening.
Sorry, sir, to disturb. Can you please share this question from 16 onwards? Because we have only, I think I have only till 15 only.
It's okay. I'll share the document link afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah, we were unable to download that link also in the supplementary content. That zip file, or it was not downloadable.
It's okay. I'll
Wasn't
share the
the
link to this
GitHub
document
link-
itself.
Wasn't the GitHub link given for this?
No, I did. I think in the supplementary contents they said that there is a link to download these
I'll
questions, but
Probably
I didn't
share
get it.
the-
Anyways, it's okay.
Okay,
I'll be
cool.
sharing this. Right?
Yeah, full.
Yeah. Full list of questions. Yeah, I think someone has already shared it. Is it available in the markdown format or what?
It's a GitHub form. GitHub is somebody. I think sir has shared.
So the markdown format of this list of questions
But
is
sir,
already available.
it only has 15 questions.
It only has 15. Yeah,
Okay,
no issues,
sorry.
no issues. Means I'll share this document link afterwards. It has the complete list of questions. Or maybe I can share it right. Fine. So yeah, here is the question, and we are expected to find out the output for this program that is given here. Let us see what is happening in this question. So we have a JavaScript object created here with the name obj. This object has some properties defined in it. The first property is name, which has a constant value of Rohit as of now. It has another property called arrow function, having the value of this property is null. It has another property called normal function, and the value of this normal function is basically a regular function in JavaScript. And this regular function does something, but we should not be concerned about that as long as this function is not invoked. And after reading this, we come here to this statement that is saying that it is trying to invoke the normal function. That is a property of this obj object. So that means this function has an invocation that is being made from here. So what does it do is, it says this dot arrow function. Now my very first question is that what this is going to refer to.
OBJ.
OBJ object.
Exactly. It is going to be referring to obj. The reason is that regular functions bind the value of this to the calling object. That means whenever a normal function that is created inside an object is invoked, then it automatically considers the value of this or the context of this to be equal to the context of the calling object. And here the calling object means the object who is calling this function. It is obj. So this will be automatically replaced with obj. So eventually what we are seeing here, in place of this dot arrow function, we should be seeing obj dot arrow function. That means we are referring to this property which was initialized with the value null. Now what is happening is this value is being overwritten with some new value. And what is the new value? The new value is basically a function. And to be more specific, It's an arrow function. And what does this arrow function do? This arrow function simply has this console.log statement, this.name. But now, can someone tell me what this is going to be?
This will be the global, this thing,
Global variable. I mean, yeah,
global context.
global context in the this dot name.
Okay. Does anyone has a different opinion here?
Sir, it should be, I think, this one, the one in OBJ itself, not global,
Okay.
because
One is
arrow function, I think, go to the immediate the they go one level above of the enclosing context, right? So
Alright.
that is what I think.
No, sir, arrow function doesn't have any reference to this actually.
Yeah, I don't have any reference. So this refers to, in this case, is a global context.
Okay, all right. Well, what is going to happen here is whatever you have said is correct, because this does not have its own binding in case of arrow functions. So where does it get its value from? It gets it from the lexical environment, from the enclosing environment. And can someone tell me what is the enclosing environment for this arrow function as of now?
Sir, the function.
Exactly, it is a normal function. That means whatever the value of this will be inside this normal function, that means inside this pair of curly braces, the same value of this will persist for this as well. Remember, arrow functions always get their value of this from the enclosing context. If I come to paint, well, this is something that I had showed in the, I guess, initial 2 weeks when we were starting with this course for this term. So how a JavaScript program is executed, there are 2 phases to it. One is memory environment, the other one is thread of execution. Firstly, the memory will be allocated. In the thread of execution, the program will actually be executed. Whenever a function is executed or a function is invoked, a separate whole new execution context is created. For that, we have a different memory phase. We have a different thread of execution. If that function invokes another, another function from it, then it automatically creates another function execution context. Now, when we are saying that this, supposing this is an arrow function and this is a normal function. Now we are saying that this arrow function is going to get its value, or is going to inherit the value of this reference from the enclosing context. What is the enclosing context? The enclosing context is this big box, not this whole big new box, instead this big box, right? Because this is the immediate parent, or you can say immediate enclosing context for this arrow function, which is me. And here in this box, since it is a regular function, the value of this is defined with the calling object, and the calling object here is obj. And that's why this obj will also be given as a value of this reference inside this arrow function invocation, because it is getting it from the enclosing context. That is why this that you are seeing here is going to be referring to obj only. Now, if this is referring to obj, after that, when we will invoke this arrow function, what do you think? What will happen? What should be the output? Should it be Rohit? Should it be undefined? Of course, Mohit cannot happen. Syntax error cannot happen. Well, anyways. So there are only two options possible here. One is Rohit, the other one is undefined. Undefined will come in the case when this will be referring to the global object. But
So
here, this is not referring to the global
sir,
object, because
one
it is
question.
inheriting its context.
So
One question, in whenever it says what will be the output of the following program, are they always referring to the console if it's not mentioned?
Of course, yes.
Okay.
I mean, in case of JavaScript program, the only place where we can get the output is console. Whereas in case of Vue application, the output will generally be referring to the browser output, the screen output.
No, because sometimes they give you HTML and the JavaScript both, right? So in that case,
that generally happens in case of Vue applications. Yeah.
okay.
So in that case, you would be asked to protect the output for the output screen. That means the browser screen.
Yeah, no, I'm just asking if there is nothing mentioned and just output, then there's a, for all JavaScript.
I think it should be, but it would be better if you can present an example for that. It would give me a clear idea as well.
Okay, let me find it. I don't I can't remember anything top of my head.
Sure, no issues. The session is still gonna go for
Hello.
more than 2 hours. Anyways, that's it. Yeah.
Sir, one doubt here. So if this is you said that arrow function don't have their own this, so they do take this from the lexical context or the global context, which you say.
No,
But-
not from global.
No, you
Only
said
the
no.
lexical, the enclosing context. I said global will be the value if this is the you can say if this does not have any enclosing context apart from this big one, because here
Say
the
if-
enclosure context
But,
is the global
where-
execution context.
Sir, if instead of being enclosed in the object, the function was like outside, right?
Let's say if you simply
Then-
copy this definition and paste it here itself, in that case,
Yeah,
this will
then
be the
it will
global.
be the global context, right? Because then the context enclosing the function context will actually be the global context itself.
Exactly. Just try to create
Sorry,
these diagrams
hello.
and then you will understand. The big box, the biggest box that you are creating here is the global execution context. Here, the value of this is global object, right? And if you are invoking an arrow function within this context, then the arrow function enclosing context will become this biggest box and the value of this will be the global.
So
So just
the
try-
You
normal
mean to
function,
say that
Then-
arrow function, if it was a small box, then you are saying that it should have been taken the global context, right?
Huh.
I mean
Yes.
this second box. But
Yes, it's the
here arrow function is inside a normal function, and normal function is inside a OBJ.
yes.
So you
No,
are saying
normal function is not inside OBJ. This is the behavior of normal functions. The way normal functions behave in JavaScript is they automatically get the value of this by calling object. That means whoever is calling that particular function will be the value for this reference.
so in this case OBJ is the reference. I mean
Yes, OBJ is the calling
calling
object.
reference,
Yes.
calling object.
so but the invocation of the arrow function is happening from the global context.
But the definition
right?
of this or the binding of this is happening at this point.
Okay, so when you say enclosing context, you are referring to the definition, not the invocation, right?
Yeah, of course. So is this
But
example?
But then, sir,
So-
why
so
why
the
it is always
object
stated
which-
that yeah, but
So
Yeah,
like
so-
if for example some other object we were kind of binding to this function, then that object's thing will be the enclosing context.
Could you please repeat? I didn't get it.
So if we had another object, say obj2,
Mhm.
and then we were like doing some bind or something, and we were
For normal
bind-
for arrow functions, bind, call, apply doesn't work. They don't work with
Okay.
arrow functions.
okay.
so sir here if this arrow function doesn't take this from the it's a definition of arrow function that it doesn't have its own this, so it takes this from the lexical or the global context. In this case, you are saying that
Not global
Object.
context,
uh,
just the outer
no, no,
context.
the-
Sir, but a normal
and
function
sometimes
can
it
take
do
a
take, right? Arrow function do take it from the global context. This
No,
was the
no.
definition.
No.
Yeah.
No, that's not.
Every time we have seen these examples, like whenever we
That's
take
not correct.
arrow
See,
functions,
Again,
if
let me
they
come to the
don't-
point. The example or the use case that you are referring is the case when the arrow function is invoked in the global execution context. In that case, it will automatically take the value of this from the global object. But now the special case that we are referring is the definition of arrow function is being made inside another regular function, which has a different value of this. As someone already pointed out, if you would copy this definition, let's say this entire arrow function definition, and replace it with the value of null. And then when you do obj.arrow function, in that case, this will be the global object. You might have seen all other examples in this way only. In that case, you are correct that this will be referring to global object, but not in this case.
so in this case, this will only refer to the calling object, which is OBJ.
Yes.
Sir, can we run this code with modifications and
Of course.
Yeah, if we can.
even give the example of changing those contexts and all?
So you just said when we replace the null with the definition, then as per your previous statement, the definition of arrow function is still inside OBJ. So that should be the
No,
context.
it's not.
Right? Why is
See. You are again taking it wrong. I'm not talking about where it is defined. I'm talking about the context where it is defined. You don't think that since it is defined inside obj, then the context becomes obj. No. For finding the context, for finding the enclosing context, you should be creating a diagram like this.
Okay. Okay. So you say simply a constant will not create a context. Either
Of
it should
course.
be a function or a.
Context only gets created for an invocation of a function.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. It's clear. Yes.
We are essentially talking about the context in the called stack, right? Not in the memory, not in the heap.
Well, in heap, what do you mean by reference?
No, I mean, see, all the variables and all get loaded first, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the memory for
Of course,
storing
means we are
of.
talking about how the call stack and the internal JavaScript will be handling it.
Correct.
So this is the example that I have simply copied and I am pasting it here. So the output that we expect at this point of time is Rohit. Right? So you are expecting Rohit. Now what will I do is I will make a very simple change. I will copy this and instead cut it from here so that it doesn't get overwritten. And this function, let's say, is just doing simple console.log, which you can of course ignore as of now. And I paste it here. Yeah. In that case, what you would expect that the output from this dot name is going to be undefined.
It will be undefined because yeah. Okay.
So you are getting nothing here basically. Yeah, it is considered as undefined.
We are getting OSEG.
No, OSEG is coming from here.
Okay. Okay.
All right, is it understood?
So in this case, this is coming from global.
Sir,
context,
I miss
right?
this. Where is this dot name coming?
This one, this empty line.
It
You're
should
not
be
printing
undefined,
anything.
right?
Yeah, it should be undefined, but due to some reason, it is not giving it here.
Okay. Okay. Yes.
Sir, but we have the same thing, right? Shouldn't Rohit be printed? Okay,
why?
it's
Don't.
okay. It's outside.
Arrow outside.
It's
outside.
the function. Okay. Okay.
So can you also show the case where the normal function is inside the arrow function?
The normal function is inside an arrow function.
Opposite
Maybe
of the
something like,
original.
yeah, normal function is null and I am adding the definition of normal
Inside.
function inside the arrow function.
It won't really matter. Anyways, let me show you. So what I'm doing is I'm just changing their names. I'll make it arrow function. Make it normal function. So this time normal function is null, arrow function is this. Sorry, this should be arrow function, so it should be this. And here this dot normal function is being assigned the value of a regular function.
So we call the arrow function first and then the normal function.
If we do that, what happened?
No, obj.normal function.
What happened?
You are calling arrow function first.
This is the problem. Should be capital S.
There is no normal function.
Okay, the problem is
normal function
that
is
this
not
property is
defined.
not defined anymore.
Yeah.
Because in this, since this is coming from the global object, then this normal function is not defined here. That is why.
Can we put obj.normal
So
function?
shouldn't it be value of undefined?
Sorry.
Because see, this object is created, right? OBJ, the moment. So the normal
So
function
it is
also
not.
defined.
It is not coming because of this. It is coming because
Okay.
of this. Because of this. Because here it is not defined.
obj.normal
Because the value is
Okay.
null here, right? The value is null.
null, so it is not taking any value. I mean here.
No, see, the reason is null. You can assume it like this: that this is a variable whose value is null. Now, can you invoke a variable like a
Okay.
function?
No. Yeah.
That is because of this error.
Okay.
So what someone else was suggesting, what can we do here?
Can
Remove that this and we can put obj.normal function as equal to.
So let me make it obj. Then it is Rohit only.
Rohit.
In normal function, it always depends on the calling object.
Yeah. Okay. For normal function, it don't go in the global this, right?
Correct. It is always the calling object
Oh,
unless you
calling
change the context using call, apply, bind.
Okay, so the arrow function simply gives the definition to the normal function, and when invoked with obj, it is giving the object. Okay.
All right, is this clear?
Yeah.
Sir,
Yes.
the comment which somebody has made in the comment section.
Sorry.
So the comment which somebody has made, like in Carton has made in the comment section, this does not seem entirely correct, is it?
It always comes from global. I didn't get it.
Is it correct? Is like arrow function always takes enclosing context from where it was invoked. This last line, because when in this example, when in the initial one, that the arrow function was
It
inside
depends on
the
the
normal
definition.
function.
It depends on the
Right?
definition.
It depends on the definition, right? Because if it's inside the like in that example, we were calling it two times. We were calling obj.normal function and obj.arrow function. So when it is inside the normal function, that only created the definition of the arrow function.
Exactly. So see, even what can I do here is,
Right.
let's say I don't have an arrow function property at all. I don't have an arrow function property at all. What do you think? What do you expect the output to be? Will it still work?
It should work if we call obj.normal function first, right?
What are we calling? Okay, yeah.
Just
We are calling normal function first.
Because it gets initialized. No, it won't work. Sorry.
Yes, it's going to initialize
Because
it.
no, this is also there, so it won't work.
Error.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It should give an error because we are using this keyword, right? And this is it is not defined. Arrow function is not defined for the.
No. This is coming from the regular function. This is a regular function, and in regular function, what is this?
Okay, the object, right?
OBJ.
The object.
Right. So
OBJ.
it is obj.arrow function equals to this.
But there is no arrow function existing in
Defined.
OBJ, right?
So it will
No, but
create
it's going to create one. It will create a
It will
variable
create
called
one.
arrow function.
If I run it, it gives Rohit.
How?
Okay.
How?
So in the previous example, then
No,
why
it's
it was
creating
not
an arrow
able to?
function, right?
Sorry.
Exactly. See, this property didn't exist before. Now
It's
it
just
is
creating-
not going to. It is not really going to bother. It will say if this property exists, okay, I'll override its value. If it doesn't exist, I'll create it.
Yeah.
Achha,
And the
it is
row
creating-
is coming because of line 12, not line 11. Correct?
Of course, if you
Yes.
don't invoke this arrow function at all, this won't
You'll
happen.
get nothing. Yeah,
Output
nothing will
won't
happen.
be rendered.
So
We're
in the
just
previous
initializing it.
example, when we reverse the normal and arrow functions, then why didn't it create an arrow function under global scope? Why had we replaced this with obj?
See, that time the error was coming because you were trying to invoke a null value. Let's say a variable is null. Let's say you create a variable called A whose value is null.
Understood.
It was a variable, not a
It
function,
couldn't
right?
replace the definition. Yes. It couldn't replace the definition.
So variable can't be invoked. Only
Yes.
functions can. Yeah. Got it, sir. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, I hope we can move forward. Well, so you can see a simple explanation is also given here. I didn't really see that before. Firstly, the global execution context will be created, then the normal execution, and then the execution context for arrow function. Just like the diagram I tried creating here.
Yeah.
Okay, so consider the following JavaScript program. What will be the last value shown on the console after 4 seconds? So after waiting for 4 seconds, what will be the last value that you will see on the console? What is happening is start name printer is a function. This function
What is the question,
ends
sir?
here. Are you saying something?
What is the question, sir? Here?
You just have to find out the output after 4 seconds.
No,
The
there
last-
was a list, right?
Sorry?
There was a list behind, above.
No, this is just explanation.
Okay.
This is explanation.
Orange.
I'll come on to that.
Okay.
So this is a function here, start name printer, and this function is being invoked at the end of or the last statement of this program. And this is given a parameter of orange. Orange is a constant type of string that is being passed to this name parameter. What happens is at the very first time, you create a variable called x, and then what you do is you do name.split, and then you simply write 2 quotes without any spaces between them. Can someone tell me what will it do? What will this statement do?
It will split the name in character
Orange.
variable, each character
It will
variable.
give each all
Orange.
list of characters.
ORANG separately.
All right, correct. So it is going to yield an array having 6 elements where the first element is O, second R, third A. The array that we got from that output, we are applying a function called reverse on that array. What is it going to do?
It will reverse the
Will
order.
reverse
of
the order of elements.
Exactly.
So
So
the
once the
array
order is
X will be
reversed,
a order,
will we
reversed
get?
order. Yeah.
we will, okay, so name.split
G.
will give us this, and name.split.reverse will give us this. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah.
All right. Now, right after that, what happens is you are creating a set interval loop here. And what do you do inside that loop? This is going to execute after every 1000 milliseconds, or you can say after every second. What does it do is it pops the element from the array called X. What is X now? X is this.
Yeah.
Now, this is a very common data structure concept of popping an element from the array. Can someone tell me what does popping an array means?
It removes the last element.
Last
Exactly.
element. Yeah.
So this should be understood that pop function will always remove from the last in case you are
First
not
and
providing
last
anything.
out, right?
Right. So what will be the last element that will be removed?
O.
It will be O. So O will be returned to this variable called Y, and this is what you will console on the output. But this is going to happen after the first second.
Yeah.
Right. So after waiting for first second, O will be shown. And then we are also seeing this set timeout. So this is going to clear the time interval when, what is the name dot length? The value of name is orange. So 6.
Orange. 6 plus
6 plus 1, 7. So
Sorry,
7.
plus 7
That means
seconds.
after waiting for 7 seconds, this set interval will get over.
Okay.
Okay. After 1 second, we have seen that it is going to print the value O.
O.
Now, after waiting for 1 more second, what will be the next element that will be
R.
popped out? It will be R. For the third time, after third second,
A.
it will be A. For the fourth time, it will be N.
N.
Yes, yes.
So this is
N is
what is going to happen. Last element after 1 second O, after 2 second R, after 3 second A, after 4 second N. So
So what does the set timeout does like after
set
that?
timeout? So see, this is a kind of an infinite loop, this set interval, which is going to keep on repeating whatever you have written inside the body after every this time interval. So if you don't have a set timeout, then this loop will keep on running for infinite times. So in order to stop this loop that you have created using set interval, you use set timeout.
It
So
won't
set
run
set
for
I'm
interval
clear
is an
this, right?
asynchronous.
Clear interval.
So-
Sorry, set timeout is simply going to execute a function after this time.
No, my
This time is
question,
7,000
my question was set interval is asynchronous. So it's at, because you said it's continuously in the loop, which means that the control comes back to the calling.
Of course, yes, yes.
Yeah, okay.
But
Because
sir,
otherwise,
here
you will
it,
never get to set timeout if that is synchronous. Right?
Correct.
but sir, here it won't run for infinite loop, right?
Of course it won't.
As
because
soon
we
as
have
the
a set
X-
timeout here, which will execute this clear interval, and after 7 seconds, it will stop this.
No. But if we didn't included set timeout, then also it won't run for infinite loop, right? Because X is an array of reverse elements. So as soon as the X gets over, it won't console anything,
Then
right?
this pop will start giving you an error.
Yeah.
Error as
So the
in,
function will break. I mean, the program will break,
okay.
will crash.
And as soon as the element gets over, it will start throwing error.
Yes.
So yeah, so this x dot pop, will it create an exception, or will it just throw an error and then go and again execute
Yeah,
after
once an error is raised, the program will be crashed.
It won't work.
Yeah, of course, it won't move forward. All right, so the answer here that will be printed after 4 seconds is going to be n.
And yeah.
Right? See. All right, I hope this is clear as well.
So this set timeout clear interval is just putting like just a limit for the set interval thing to run.
This is just here so that you can stop this loop that is initiated
Okay.
using set interval.
Now, if in that set timeout clear interval, if that is executed after 3 seconds, then the handler will also stop after 3
Yes, of
seconds. So the
course,
last
it will
value
stop
will
in
be A.
In that case, the third element will be A. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the last element. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Sir, I have a question for the previous one.
Huh.
What if this question asked for how long will this function last? You know, what would be the answer for that?
For how long will this function?
Keep executing.
So how many elements does this have? So after 1 second, it will execute 1, 2, 3, 4,
Okay, that's
5.
it. So
6.
set timeout won't like make the execution longer. It'll just
I didn't get it. Can you please repeat once again?
the set timeout won't make the execution of the function longer.
Of course, it won't. Set timeout. Okay, what you are saying is set timeout. See, the JavaScript program will keep on running as and when it will see that, okay, this is the time that I have to invoke a function. By that time, the JavaScript script that you are saying won't be completing its execution. It will have to wait.
Sir, what basically is the question that there are 6 elements in this array, right? And then we are popping it after every 1 second. Now, after like 6 times, we have popped the entire thing. There is nothing left. And there is 1 second left as per the set timeout clear interval. Right. So in that 1 second, will it execute again, or will it?
You mean this
stop?
interval?
Yeah, the set interval thing. And will it like try to pop something out of an empty list and try to log that, or will it not?
I think after 6 seconds, it is going to find out the 6th element from the array. That is going to be this E.
Okay, there are. Okay, after 1 second, we are doing. Oh, okay.
So
Fine.
after 6 seconds, the output that you will get is E. And after 7 seconds, it generally depends on the browser. Some browsers will say that they are going to invoke the set timeout, whatever you would have written here, and some might still execute this function once again.
Okay.
This is a confusing behavior across the browsers. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now the next question that we have here is on the promises. We have to again predict the output, and yeah, these are the outputs. Okay, so let's see what is happening. We have a variable here which is initialized with the value start. With the value 5. The name of the variable is start. We have a function here that is check, and then we are invoking this function. We expect this function to return a promise. That's exactly what it does. And then we basically check. Then do this, otherwise catch do this. Okay, let's find it. Now, what is happening is whatever this check function will be returning, if it returns a fulfilled promise, then the control will enter this then block. But if it returns a rejected promise, then the control will enter the catch block. Now let's see what this function or what this promise is actually getting resolved or rejected. Let's first try to find out if it is getting rejected or resolved. Now, there is one more important thing that I would like to highlight here is whenever you create a promise object, like it has been created here, the name of these, you can say callback parameters don't matter. What matters is the order. Whichever comes first here is always going to refer to the which callback?
Resolved.
Resolved.
Exactly. The first one in the order is always going to refer to the resolve callback.
Resolve.
The second one in the order is always going to
Reject.
refer to the reject. If I keep this rej before res, then rej does not mean reject. Rej means resolve in that case. Okay. Anyways, this question has made it simple. So res means resolve, rej means reject. Now, what happens here is you start a set interval here. Right? What this set interval does is it increments the value of start by 1. So start was initially 5. It increments the value by 1. Well, the timeout here is 500, but I don't think the program has anything to do with the time. So I am ignoring it. So start plus plus will make the value of start 6. It is going to check if the start is 7. So what it is checking is it is checking for strict equality. That means the type as well as the value should be 7 for start.
Sorry, can you repeat? Strict equality?
Strict
Type and the
equality
value.
checks for value as well as type.
Type. Okay.
So this condition is going to fail because the value of start is what? It is 6, and which is not equal to 7. So this condition fails. The control enters the else block. What does else block do? It simply prints a message yet to reach on the output screen. So the very first thing that you will see on the output screen is going to be what? It is going to be yet to reach.
Yeah.
Right. So yet to reach, I think every example is saying yet to reach. So let's move forward. After that, this loop, not loop, basically this body will execute again after waiting for 500 milliseconds or half a second. This time start will again be incremented by 1. Previously it was 6. Now it will become 7. Now this start, is it equal to 7 is the question that it will ask. And of course, the value of start has become 7. So this condition becomes true. As soon as this condition becomes true, the control enters this if block here. The very first thing that it does is it prints a message called reached. So after yet to reach, the very first thing, or you can say the second message that will be shown is going to be reached. So yet to reach and reached. Okay, so you can say third, not the third, the fourth option is eliminated because the second statement that should be printed, it must be reached. So ABC must be there. Sorry.
Sir, can you tell this one more time?
As soon as this condition becomes true, the control enters this if block, and this will be the first statement that gets executed. Right? So the second statement that gets shown on the console is reached. That means D option is eliminated, and we have to still find out the answer from A, B, and C. Let's move forward. After that, what it does is it says clear interval A1. That means this body won't be executed anymore. This will be stopped. After that, it immediately says RES. RES means what? Resolve. It says that I want to resolve this promise with the value pass.
Pass.
Right. And the moment it encounters this statement, it sees the promise has to be resolved. After that, no matter how many times you write REJ, RES, or no matter which callback you invoke here, the very first invocation that it sees for the resolve or reject callback, it go by that. Okay, it goes by that. And here what is happening is this promise is getting resolved with the value pass. Okay. Now that we know that this check function is returning a resolved promise. When you know it has returned a resolved promise, where will the control enter? Will it enter the then block or the catch block?
Then block.
Sir, then block.
Then block.
Then block. Then we have an argument called pass here. Can someone tell me what this pass refers to?
The return from
So
the
return. Yes.
Yes. And what is that value that is being returned?
PASS.
Yes. Yeah.
It is passing. So what does it do is it simply says whatever you have received as the resolved message, you simply log it on the console. So the last message that you get on the console is this pass where P is capital. So yet to reach, well, A option is the correct option. B option is wrong, C option is wrong, D option is also wrong.
Sir,
So this
what
is
if
what you
the
get.
clear interval was written in the else block? So it'll just say yet to reach, and then it was written after the console.log yet to reach. After that, it was written clear interval A1. So it'll only execute once and then it'll stop, right? Okay.
Correct. In that case, the promise will always be in the pending state. The promise won't resolve, won't reject.
When it's in pending, it won't either go in then or catch. How do you get?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The promise will stay in the pending state.
Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, can you please explain the purpose of the clear interval function?
See, whenever we use this set interval, what we do is, or what we try to do is, whatever we are writing within these two curly braces, we want this code or this set of statements to be executed every time or after every these many milliseconds. If you have written 500 here, that means you want this function that you are providing here to be executed after every 500 milliseconds. Now, JavaScript is not going to stop it for you, saying that okay, this has been executed 1,000 times, 10,000 times, or like that. What you have to do is you have to explicitly ask JavaScript to stop the execution of this function after a certain point of time. So how do you do that? You do that with the help of clear interval. You have to provide the object or the ID that is being returned by the set interval function, and that is what you need to pass to the clear interval so that this function invocation can be stopped.
This whole block will be stopped, right? Set interval,
Yes.
it won't ever execute as soon as it's
Yes, correct.
clear.
Sir, if we get the exception like in the rejected, okay, so will that stop that execution, sir, for set interval?
I didn't get it.
See, while executing the block, okay, set interval block, okay,
Mhm.
if the code get rejected, okay, the reject one, right? This get triggered, okay. Will that stop that?
But clear interval is already coming before
No.
resolving or
Forget,
rejecting.
no. I forget about clear interval, sir.
Mhm.
So if the rejected also will throw the loop. I mean, this cursor after the loop. I mean, this
No,
loop should not be, sir.
Clear interval is what is stopping it. Nothing
No.
to do with resolve or reject.
No, sir. But if we get the exception, okay, if you get the suppose my condition for the rejection is get true, okay, so I think the cursor should come out of the loop. That's what I think.
I
If you-
am still trying to understand. What you're saying is that this clear interval doesn't even exist, is it?
Yes, sir. So if you just remove the line, okay,
Okay.
and just keep the rejection, the fail, whatever condition is there, right? So
Okay.
if this condition gets true,
Mhm.
okay, so will that stop the execution, sir? This loop condition, will that stop?
I think
Basically, if the set interval throws an error, what happens?
No. We are not talking about right, Anupam, you're right. This thing. So I think we can use.
Yeah, go ahead.
We could try this actually, like remove clear interval and then see if it actually is stopping or not, or if it just goes into an infinite loop or something.
So you have to remove resolve also, sir.
No, it's okay. It doesn't really. Okay.
Yeah.
Then you have to also call the function, right? That check dot.
Because resolve reject doesn't really matter. It's okay. It will keep on executing it.
Executing, yeah. Okay. It won't ever stop.
Okay, it's required.
It's required, yeah.
interval.
Yeah, please just try without resolve once, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Just take a quick.
That's what my understanding.
I mean, you want to invoke reject, is it?
Yeah. Try to reject only, sir.
Because if it throws an error, yeah. Then, okay, let's see.
I don't think that reject is throwing an error, because the error, or you can say the rejection state of the promise, is also being handled within the program itself.
Okay. Just remove the resolve.
Reject is also a success for the program. It's not an exception.
Yeah, it's just a final state for a promise. That's it. So you want to remove this, you want to remove this.
No, it will not make any difference.
It will keep on executing.
It's just a state.
Yeah, execute.
Thanks, sir.
Sir, instead of this reject, if we throw an error, then execution will stop, no?
If you throw an error, you mean an intentional error?
Yeah.
Throw error.
Means some return value there.
Throw new error.
If you throw
Sir,
a new
it
error,
was-
then
So
even if you're
in
throwing
the
a new error,
infinite
that means
loop,
you are rejecting the promise, right? Because
But
it will be handled inside the
execution will not happen, I think, after that.
Sorry?
But function execution will not happen.
It should happen. Should happen, because that is handled inside the catch block.
Okay.
will note this, note this, note this as well. Okay, it says, okay, something wrong with this statement. Just a second. Just give me a minute. Sorry. Okay, how do we? Okay, this is how I do something different. It is definitely not entering the catch block. Parameter is not a number.
Because sir, if in any function, if a throw error syntax is used, after that no execution. The message on this throw error is printed and program
No, so
stopped.
No,
as
this is not
I
coming.
mentioned,
This
as I
is not
mentioned
entering.
Question
earlier,
is, why is it not catching the error?
Exactly. Yes.
Error should get caught.
no,
So you want
for
to
that
put
you
a
need to
try
do a
block
try
in
catch,
that
right? You have to
section?
do a try block. If the resolve and reject both are business conditions of or end state of the promise. And now if I say reject, and can you just add reject fail there after the console.log?
Where?
After line 17, if you can just actually invoke the reject, rej fail. I will copy line 13 to that. Oops, sorry.
Wait. Not here. What you were saying after this, I should be
copy line 10.
okay.
Yeah. So then want to see if the next catch is also, because
that will
you're
happen.
handling the error and then at the same time saying that I'm rejecting the promise end state is reject. So I'm hoping that yeah. My expectation is that, but I don't know.
Yes, it came here.
Yeah. So that's what I meant earlier. I mean, I think you phrased it appropriately, which is reject and resolve are end states are states for the promise, whereas error is more of an exception that being thrown by the program.
Okay. So explicitly creating an error. All right. Okay, I'm gonna copy this.
So even if it is caught in this promises catch block, it's again going back and it's continuing, is it?
Of course, because we have never ended this set interval. The promise has been written. You know the promise has either rejected or resolved, but the set interval is still continuing.
Because we never interval cleared the interval. Yeah.
I don't know. I was not able to copy that. But anyways, yeah, I guess if you explicitly throw an error or the program results in an error, in that case, the program will be stopped. It will terminate. So if you don't have a clear interval, I mean, you are not rejecting, you are not resolving, and you are intentionally throwing an error. So you are, explicitly saying that you want to terminate the program. Okay, all right. If that is okay, shall we move forward?
Yes, yes.
Yes.
In order to ensure that items enter to the to-do list, in order to ensure that the items added to the to-do list persist after screen refresh by adding it to the local storage, choose the code that can be placed in code 1 as marked. So what does it do is it is index.html. It has this button which just add.
Code
So
1.
its title, it has new data, it has to do, which is a newly created array, and then it has a method called add to do list. What does it do is it takes the new data, it pushes it into the new data, and it also wants to save it into the local storage.
Sir, it's
So if you want to, sorry,
it should be set item, right?
Yeah, it should be set item. So we only have two options available which make use of set item, first and the third option. B and D options are eliminated.
It should be stringified.
Yeah. So this is a common principle that is really followed across the web. In case you want to store an object, a JavaScript object, into the session storage or any storage, any kind of storage, you should be stringifying it before actually storing it into the storage. So in option A, it is stringifying it. In option C, you are trying to parse it. So parse method is used when you want to convert a stringified object into an actual object. Whereas stringify means you want to convert an object into a kind of string. So if you try this kind of syntax, I guess it will give you an error because you cannot store objects as such. And this will, I guess, work. So A option is the only correct option.
So could you please explain the storage key, Jason?
Storage key is just an alias for a random key. Just an alias. It could be anything.
What? Alias for what?
It's just an alias for a key. So what happens is the data that is stored in storage is stored in the form of key value pairs. So for every data that you store, there must be a key and there must be a value to that key. So this
key can be double or single. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
He's saying something like key can be double or quotes or single.
No, I said it can be any string value, anything that you may want to use later when you're trying to access that value. So when you reload the form, right, or when you load the form and you want to fetch data from the local storage, that time you lose that key string, right?
Sir, is it that if we write storage key, it automatically generates a key, and otherwise we can give a key?
No. That's just an alias.
Okay, that is an alias. We have to actually provide a key, right?
Correct. So if I say set item and you provide the key as say key itself, let's say key, and then I can provide the value. Let's say the value itself is going to be value. The moment you do that, it will add a key named key whose value is value in the local storage. If I go to application, I should be seeing something like key here. Refresh it. Yeah. Okay. Key plus value is what it is. Right? If you want, you can individually delete it or delete the entire local storage.
But in the question, it says storage key, which is not defined anywhere. So you're saying it's just
an alias.
Just an alias, yes.
And JSON is trying to convert the object. I mean,
yeah, to-do list is an array, as you can see here. So it is trying to stringify it.
Stringify it. Okay.
No, I mean, in this case, instead of, I mean, the storage key, the way it is typed here, it seems like it's a keyword. Is it a predefined keyword in JavaScript?
No, it's not a predefined keyword. I'm
Then
saying
I
it
think
is just an
ideally it should have
alias.
been given it as a string within quotes. This actually can, because storage key is not defined anywhere, right? So one could potentially get unnecessarily confused. And
I mean, all the options make use of the same thing, so I don't think it should create a lot of confusion.
And it is always it will always set the item, because we have to push, and we have to code one is trying to get the data of the right, sir?
I didn't get your last thing.
I mean, this set item, why we have taken set item?
Set item is used when you want to store something in the local storage. Get item is when you want to get something from the local storage. So here, as the question says, that you want to store this array into the local storage. So that's why you are using set item method.
For storing the array in the local storage?
For storing this array into the local storage so that it can be fetched later.
Okay.
All right, I guess this was a simple question. Okay. So the next question.
Sir, just in previous question, so just for simple terms, if you want to store something, you have to stringify it, and if you want to retrieve it, you have to parse it, right? In that sense.
That depends on your context, but if you want to store an object, that is where you need to stringify it. If you are storing a integer value, or let's say a string, or already a string constant, then you don't need to stringify because they can be easily stored. But if it is a JavaScript object, then you need to stringify.
And to retrieve,
even by getting it back,
yeah.
If you have stored an object, you know that it is an object, then you would be parsing it. Let's say if it itself was a string value, you don't need to parse it.
You mean if the to-do list was a string, just a string, then no need of stringify?
Yes, then no need of JSON.stringify.
Parsing will do, right?
Yes, even no need for parsing as well.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to do parsing, you can. Parsing simply means that you want to convert a stringified object into a proper JavaScript object.
Proper JavaScript, like key value.
Sorry?
Object like as in key value pair, right? Proper JavaScript.
Even this array is an object here. This array is also an object. It does not have key value pairs. It itself is an object.
Sir, in quiz 2, there was a question where we were trying to push into an array, and the parameter we were calling was element. The statement was for food and foods, this.to-do list.push element.
Yeah.
I have seen that question on the discourse, and I guess it was corrected during the re-evaluation.
It was
so it was corrected. Marks was granted for this.
The marks were accordingly given. Yes.
Some controversy was there, right?
Correct. The element was a kind of, I would say, not known at that point of time. It should have been replaced with some other value that was used in the. But unfortunately, it got slipped.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, shall we move forward? Is this okay?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. So now we have a Vue application here. Consider the following markup index.html and JavaScript file app.js for an application. This is the HTML. ID is app. We are using vbind and style. Depending upon the value of mode, this either dark or normal will be applied. These dark and normal should be coming from Vue somewhere. Yes, these are the objects. Okay. Then we have button, which is okay. If you click on it, it calls or invokes a function called change mode with the argument dark. If you invoke normal, it invokes the same function with the argument normal. It has a div as well, which says hello ITM, and then you have the script, this app. Anyways, let's read the question. Suppose the application is running on this. If a user visits the page index.html and click on the button normal, you come onto this index.html, you click on the button normal, and then close the tab in which the application is open. You are closing the tab and then again visit the same website. What will be the background color of div with ID app? So this div is what is being referred. Now, there are two quick things that you should be currently observing at. One is that this JavaScript code that you are seeing here is making use of session storage. It never makes use of local storage, right? And in the question itself, it says that You do something, you close the tab, and then you come back again. In that case, whatever you would have done in the session storage would get cleared. Is that true?
Yes.
I'm not sure about it. I think it happens only when you close the browser itself, not the tab.
Session storage gets cleared as soon as you close the tab.
As soon as the tab gets closed.
Everything gets
That is true for cookies, but you are saying is for session cookies.
So, by the way, refresh also removes session storage or not?
No, only local storage.
Only
So session and session storage are different, right?
Sorry?
Session and session storage are different. Like the session we're using for the login, that is different.
Yeah, that is different.
And this session storage is different.
Yeah.
That is what we're trying.
So the correction is that session storage will get cleared as soon as you close the tab. And the question itself is mentioning that you are closing the tab and then coming back again. And this is equivalent to coming to the application for the first time. Right? Why I'm making this statement
So
is
maybe
because
if
this
you
question
can,
only makes
if you
use
can
of. Let me
prepare
complete.
yeah.
So why I'm making this statement is because this question only makes use of session storage. It doesn't mention anything related to local storage. If the local storage would exist, then in that case, we would have to read the entire question and go through each step one by one as is specified. But now we can skip one step of clicking that button or doing something because we know everything is done on session storage and it will get cleared the moment you close it and you are coming back.
So, sir,
Yes,
instead of this session storage, if it was local storage and we are closing the tab, then will that local storage?
It will remain. The data in the local storage will persist.
Will persist.
Yes, someone else was saying something.
Yes, sir. If we can prepare a small table of local storage, session storage, and cookies on browser close and tab close, that will help for a quick recap, right? Which will reflect
It is as simple as that. Session storage gets cleared as soon as you close the tab. Local storage never gets cleared. This needs to be manually cleared. Session cookies, see, cookies are of two types. One is you basically explicitly set their age, or the second type of cookies are session cookies. That means they will only persist as long as the session persists. So for those cookies to basically complete their expiry, you will have to close all the occurrences of the browser. That means, let's say if you have multiple windows for the same browser open, then you will have to close all the windows in order to remove those cookies.
The session cookies.
Yes.
So session cookies are not relevant to the tab, they are relevant to the browser.
Yes.
Okay. And refresh doesn't do anything to anything.
Refresh doesn't do anything, yes.
So hard refresh is the same as refresh?
Nothing.
Hard refresh?
Nothing.
No. He's saying hard refresh is same as the normal refresh.
Hard refresh is same?
Same as the normal refresh we do?
No, generally not, because when you do normal refresh, it might still serve you things from the cache, but if you do hard refresh, then it is going to clear the cache and get the new content.
So I can assume hard refresh means like closing the tab and opening again?
No, it is not.
Okay.
Like if you go to Gmail and do a refresh, okay, it will not refresh. But if you do a refresh by pushing a button which has that refresh icon, then it handles it differently. You can try it out. So there are different ways of handling refresh in the browser. So you might want to check that. But that's still not the same as closing a tab.
Okay.
All right. So coming back to the same question, let's first read this question the way it has mentioned in the question statement. So let's say you open this application and you visit this page index.html. Okay, so we have opened this page. We have come onto this index.html. Let's see what happens in the JavaScript. Created hook is the lifecycle hook that will get triggered. What does it do is it basically creates this website mode variable and it tries to get its value from the session storage. And a key name from the session storage is mode. When you will open it for the first time, of course, mode doesn't exist. What will be the value of website mode? Can someone tell me?
Null.
Null.
Sorry?
Null. Sorry.
It will be undefined.
Undefined.
So now, when the value of website mode is undefined, can you tell me what will be the new value of this dot mode?
It will be dark.
It will be
dark.
Exactly. It will be dark. So when you come here,
Sir, can I just one small thing? I lost 9 marks in the exam because of this. So session storage gives you undefined, but local storage gives you null. Is that correct? When you don't have a like a defined mode. So when I do local storage set item mode, local storage get item mode and session storage get item mode, it should return null in both cases.
See, it depends on the API that you are using. Let me tell you. So just like we have an API called set item, or you can say an API method set item. Similarly, we have an API method called get item, right? So let's say if I do local storage dot get item, and let's say I provide the key name to be ABC, of course, I am assuming that it won't exist. So the output that I'll get here is null.
Null, right.
But if I do, if I do local storage dot ABC, in that case, I get undefined. That is the difference that it means.
Because I tested this before the exam and I don't know what happened in the exam, and I always remember you using undefined and I marked that as the answer.
So, I think this is also because when you're doing dot get item, you're actually calling a method of local storage, whereas when you're saying dot ABC, you're referring to a property directly. So that property is not defined, that's why it shows undefined.
Okay, it says get item, so it will be null. Sorry, that was also my mistake. So it will be null in that case.
Yeah.
It will be?
It will be null.
Yeah. Null, right? Yeah. That's why I was just wondering why you said undefined again.
Undefined it won't be, yeah.
It is using get item method. Yes, it will be null. See, generally, whenever we write code, means it's a kind of a bad habit. You can say we generally, carry on writing the syntax like this, dot and all, because we are habitual of writing such syntaxes.
See, one of the advantages of using, the setter and getter methods everywhere is you can handle the output better. Whereas if you use directly properties, you then have to go and handle exceptions. And handling exceptions are far tougher and they become really complex. Whereas if you handle specific calls at that, you can handle them immediately.
Sir, if you do this local storage dot key that you just set to the value, because today I read this dot syntax did not catch the key value from the storage, local storage.
It does.
So can you please
I set item with name key and then I do local storage dot key.
Because sir, one of the PYQ question was depend on that, so I searched it.
The key might be some keyword. What does it do is storage. Okay, it should be key one.
So it does from.
Yeah, it is returning you the value.
Value. Okay. So for that key one, it's getting the value one.
Yes.
As answer. Yeah. Fetching the value.
Okay.
All right. So coming back to the question, this is going to give you null. This dot mode will anyway be dark because they both are falsy values, undefined and null. We come here, we check that which condition is, or if this condition is meeting. So is the mode is equals to dark?
Yeah, it is.
Yes, it is dark. And if it is dark, then dark will be applied here. And dark, we have to see what this object consists of. So this object consists of background color black. So when you will come on this application for the first time, the background color for the div with ID app is going to be black. And the same thing will happen if you close the tab and come back.
Right? Something is not catching dot something. Actually, I was not able to see what you were talking about.
Sorry?
Just 1 minute ago, you were discussing about something not working. Like somebody was saying that some dot thing is not working. And
even that was resolved.
No, I actually wasn't able to see that.
Achha. The
we did that here. We set the key and then we were able to fetch it later.
Okay. After it's set, you can fetch it, right?
Of course, means it needs to be set, otherwise it will return you undefined. Let's say if I do key 2 here, it will give you undefined.
Okay.
So ultimately, we know that the answer is going to be black, even when you will come here for the first time, or you come here. Okay, let's see if you press the button normal as well. So it is asking you to press the button normal. It is going to invoke the function change mode with the argument normal. So you come here, mode is given normal here. You store something in session storage. The value of mode will now be normal. And the same thing, you overwrite the value for mode. So now, once you click on that button and you are on the same page, the mode has been changed to normal. In that case, this condition fails. And if this condition fails, the normal will be applied on the style. And normal means the background color is going to be red. Right? But this happens when you are staying on that screen. But the question asks you to cut the tab, to close the tab and then come back again. When you come back again, the same things will happen. The created hook will be triggered. The condition will satisfy. The conditions, since this condition is being satisfied, then dark will be applied. And dark object says the background color is black.
But sir, how we are getting here that we have to stay in this app? So, stay on the page, so it is not changing the mode. You said you are saying no. We have to stay on that page in order to.
No, that's what I'm saying. I am saying that if you stay on that page after clicking on the button, in that case the background color will change. I'm telling you a different case that is not mentioned in the question.
Okay, no, but how that background changes by staying on that same page only?
Because you have clicked on this button.
Normal,
clicking on this button is changing the value of this mode variable to what? To normal. And once you change it to normal, then this condition is failing. If this condition fails, then this normal object will be applied for this style.
Okay.
And normal style says that the background color should be red.
Then only. Yeah. Okay.
Is this clear?
But that is not in the question.
That is not asked in the question.
Yes.
Shall we move forward?
So for this, black will be answered.
Black.
Background.
Yes. All right. Now fill in code 1 inside a mutation handler, which can be used to reduce the price of each of the products in the state by a certain discount. So you have a store here. There is the state object. Discount is 10. Products, you have an array, apple, banana, etc., etc. Then you have a mutation. The name is reduced price. State is the implicit argument it gets. Okay, what do you think? What could be placed here in the code 1 placeholder, which is going to reduce the price of all the products by 10%? Maybe the logic seems to be same for all the options. What you need to focus on is the syntax, the convention of using Vuex. You are inside a mutation function.
I think this is inside the mutation not state. Use state. The state is inside the mutation, so you can directly use the state.
So you don't need this $$ store inside the mutation. You need only state.
No, so won't it be a commit where we are inside a mutation?
Commit will be in actions. No, commit is not in action.
Dispatch is for action. Dispatch in action, right?
Context is for action.
Confusion.
Commit can be done from anywhere. You can either do it from the view component. You can also do it from the actions function.
Oh yeah.
You can do it from anywhere.
Commit triggers the mutation, right?
Yes. Commit function triggers the mutation.
So in this,
but we are not.
I think we can use on reduce price. Commit we can use on the word reduce price.
So what do you think? Which one is correct here?
B. Option B will be correct.
B is correct. Does anyone think different here?
Sir, why won't A be correct?
Sorry?
I was thinking that A is correct, but yeah.
Yeah. Why is it not?
A bit confused.
A is not correct because this dot store is only allowed in view components. It's not allowed inside Vuex.
So view only has this $$ store.
State is the implicit argument that you are getting. You have to work with that only.
Okay. So state. Okay. So that will come in Vuex.
So since you are currently writing your code inside of Vuex, this mutation is a part of Vuex. It's a construct of Vuex.
And sir, where we use commit and dispatch?
Commit is used when you want to invoke a mutation function either from an action function or somewhere from a view component. Right? Let's say you have a view component that has a button called add, and on clicking on that add button, you want some state change to be triggered. So what you can do is you can commit that mutation from the function, which is basically binded to that button.
Okay, and so dispatch?
Dispatch is used when you want to invoke an action function. So same thing, let's say you have a button called fetch instead of add, that is going to fetch you the current list of products from the database. In that case, clicking on that button would, or what you can do is inside that implementation of function, you can dispatch an action which is going to make an API call and get you the latest list of products.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so this dot store can only be used from a view component.
View component, yeah.
And we can only commit mutations and we can only dispatch actions, right?
Means that's all. What else would you do?
So the syntax for commit and dispatch are correct if it were to be used. Shouldn't it be this $state .commit if you're using a commit? Is the syntax correct?
You mean the option C and D?
Option C.
No, sir. If you were to use a commit, so the syntax is correct for commit. Commit
Which syntax are you referring to?
So, for example, commit.products or dispatch.products.
No, that's not correct. That's not correct.
So the keywords state and context, they can be changed?
Which, I mean,
So
we are talking
when
about
you're
mutation or action
defining,
function.
so either when you're defining mutation or action, the first parameter
I
is
think in mutation it should be possible. The state could be anything else as well because it's the only argument that it gets. But on action function, it depends on how actually you do it. See, there are two ways. One is if you simply accept the argument to be context, then it's fine. This context can be ABC, it could be good, it could be bad, it could be anything else, any name that you can think of. But if you are destructuring this object, that means if you are saying that I only want to get these many properties, then it becomes essential for you to write the actual keywords. Something like that. Like for example, there is an action function, async function. Let's say this is going to get products. Sorry for the typo. If you are writing it this way, that's perfectly fine. No issues with that. And even this context can be context 1, context 2. This is not a keyword, right? But when you know that what you are going to do from this action function is you are just going to commit the mutations. So instead of writing this, a more cleaner syntax of writing it would be that you simply destructure this object and you specify what all properties you require from this object. And then you make use of this commit inside this function. In that case, this commit becomes a mandation for you to use here. If you name it as commit 1, it won't work.
It won't work for commit 1.
Yeah, did you get it?
So I saw in one question that you had given ... and map object, and then inside it you started accessing the properties as state A underscore
Where-
1, state
where is
B
it?
underscore 2.
I mean, where are you referring?
It is in one of the PYQs. So what was given was that an object was defined, and in that you're given state A, state B, state C as 3 variables, and then there was a map function used with the destructuring operator, the
Map
3 dots.
state.
Yeah, map state. And state A underscore state underscore 1, state underscore 2, state underscore 3 were used to access state A, state B, state C.
Okay.
I don't know how the underscore 1, 2, 3 worked. I mean, I'll search.
Can you share that
I'll search.
example?
Okay. Let me search for it. Please continue. I'll search for it and show it to you.
So the
Sir,
person
one
who's
doubt. Yeah, sir, sorry to disturb. One doubt is that mutations are in general are used to change the UX store variables, right?
the value of state variables.
The state variables, and actions are used for what, sir? I just
Actions are used for performing asynchronous operations.
Asynchronous operations. Okay.
Sir, actions, do they invoke mutation or? I mean,
Yes, you can invoke mutations from actions. That is exactly what you are required to do.
Okay.
So you should not make direct change into the state variables from action functions.
Okay.
you should instead commit a mutation.
Commit a mutation inside action. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, the person who was asking this question, may I know if you were able to understand this part?
No, sir. Sir, I don't know, sir. I was asking whether when we define a mutation, we pass the first parameter as state, and then any payload, or just a single other parameter. That's what I was asking. With the state, the keyword state can be changed.
For especially mutation, if you're asking it, I have not tried it before, but I still think that state can be replaced with anything else, because
Only
we
the
know
position matters. The first, that it should be the first
correct.
parameter.
Yes. Though I have not tried it, but I still strongly believe that it should be possible.
And in the case of action, it can be. Context can be changed.
Yeah, of course. If you're writing this only, I mean a single argument, then it could be anything. It could be context, or it could be any other thing. But if you're destructuring it, then it becomes essential for you to mention the exact properties. There won't be any error, but you want to be able to commit those, or achieve the desired functionality. Let's say you wrote commit 1 instead of commit, and then you would be committing a mutation, then in that case it won't do the desired thing.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
All right, so here the answer is going to be, what did we discuss? I think it was B.
Excuse me, sir. I have a question. I'm assuming mutations are thread safe, right? I mean, that's also the reason why they're probably called mutation to start with.
Correct. You can assume that Vuex will internally manage that part. Yes.
Yeah. Sir, I found the question. Can I share my screen?
Is it possible for you to share the link, if possible?
No, it's actually on my laptop.
Okay, fine. Okay, I'll stop presenting for a moment. Yeah.
I'm just sharing it. Can you see the screen?
I can, yes.
Okay. So here, this is the question.
Okay.
Okay, if you want, you can take a screenshot and then I can stop sharing it.
No, it's okay. So you are creating a
Okay,
store.
and
State is having key variables A, B, C, and then you are creating a view component. The template is state A, B, C. Okay, fine. Computed is what you need to fill in.
Yeah, and then these are the options that are given, which I could not understand. The state 1, state 2, state 3. How did this come? Right. So now let me do it like this. So now the entire question and the answer is in front of you.
Okay. So it is going to.
Why is the ... there?
No, that is a deconstruction operator, but no. I mean the state _1, _2, _3. How is this possible? I mean, what is the? I don't know the syntax.
Map state.
I think it must have been state A, B, or C, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
Just give me a minute. I'll have to check upon this. I think it should have been that.
Map state is also getting imported here. Map state.
Yeah, no, it says assume it is imported appropriately.
Yeah.
So I guess this was a typo here. These state _1, 2, etc. These should have been state A, B, C as the property.
I spent at least half a day looking. I could not figure out, what was going on. A simple deconstruction would have helped, but this 1, 2, 3 threw me off completely. If that's the case, I will.
I'll share you from the documentation. So this is kind of a shorthand.
No, I've seen the deconstruction documentation. I've seen this map state. But I could not understand
if you
this
just
1, 2,
pass
3.
this single property here inside an array, then what does it do
Yeah.
is it creates a property, and the value for that property is going to be store.state that property.
Okay, got it. All right, thank you.
All right. So we were here, and yeah, so B option was the correct one, is what we decided. So yes, B is the correct one. Is that okay? Shall we move forward? Shall we move forward from here?
Yes, sir, please.
Yes, yes.
So the next question is, I think this is something that we have already discussed. Which of the following HTTP request methods is cacheable in general?
Get.
Exactly, it is get. Does anyone know the explanation? Why is it so? Why not post or why not put?
It's
Whatever we get put in post, we are pushing something to the server, right?
basically it doesn't change anything on the in the database.
Okay. Anything else? Any other
Thank
reason?
you.
Also, the response for it is URL specific. Like as long as the URL is same, the response will be the same.
Exactly. So what happens in case of GET request is, whatever you need in order to process that particular request, everything is present inside the request URL itself. But that's not the case with post input. So most of the times, the caching that you apply for web applications is generally put on the reverse proxy level, and that level, the request body is not accessible. So what you need to do is you need to make a decision based on seeing the request URL itself. So the only thing that you can surely confirm is that if the request comes same and the request type is GET, in that case, you know that yes, is this something that I have already served before? So the cached content can be served. Whereas for request like post and put, it becomes really difficult because you don't have the access to the request body that can only be read at the server.
It's a simple string matching, right? I mean, that's what it does.
Means you just need to look at the request. That's it.
Yeah.
Is that okay? It was a simple one. All right. Okay, this is also written here that reverse proxy is something that will help the actual server in serving the cached responses. Okay, so consider the Flask application app.py and HTML file index.html. Okay, so this time what we have done is we have initiated this, or we can say executed or run this Flask application in non-threaded mode. By default, the Flask application is run in threaded mode, but we have started this application in non-threaded mode. Non-threaded mode is also referred to as blocking mode. Right? That means if one request is under process, the other request that might come to this particular application has to wait. So there are two endpoints available. One is the slash, another one is the slash profile. Okay. So I believe in case my system shuts down due to some weird reasons, please wait here in the call itself. I will join back in the next 5 or 7 minutes. Generally, it happens, kind of overheats and then it automatically shuts down. So I'll come back in next 5 or 7 minutes.
What is the actual question?
Sorry.
What is the actual question of this code?
It is okay. Question we'll read. Okay. What is the question? Question is if a user reads this file, this, what will be logged in the console approximately. Anyways, let's see. So what is happening is there are two endpoints defined in the Flask application. One is this home endpoint. The other one is this profile endpoint. What happens in home endpoint is it asks the request to wait for 10 seconds. And after that, it returns the number of seconds from the current time. And it also returns this access control allow origin header. That means it won't cause you the CORS error. That is all what it says. Whereas in case of the other endpoint profile, it makes the request sit for or wait for 30 seconds. 30 seconds, that is almost half a minute. And this time it also returns you the number of seconds from the current time and returns you the same type of headers. Fine. So the only difference between these two requests is that it is asking the request to wait for 10 seconds and it is asking the request to wait for 30 seconds. The Flask application is being run in non-threaded. We come here, index.html file. The script will be executed as soon as this file is opened. And what happens is these two fetch requests will be immediately sent to the server. Remember, will be immediately sent to the server. And these two handlers are actually waiting for the response to come. Based on the response, they are doing something. Let's see what happens. So since this is the first request or the first line in the script, that means the very first request that will be given to the application is going to be on the home point.
Yeah.
Home endpoint, that is this. As I told you before, this is a non-threaded application. That means once a request comes in and it is under processing, the other request has to wait. As soon as this request goes, the second request that was immediately sent after it still has to wait till this request processing gets over. So let's see what this request does. It comes here, it waits for 10 seconds, and after that it returns you the number of seconds from the current time. So it is telling you that the request was sent at 10 hours, 10 minutes, 10 seconds. Assuming that request reaches here 10, 10, 10, it is asking the request to wait for 10 more seconds. What will be the number of seconds
20.
that will be returned from here?
20.
It will be 20. Now, as soon as this response is returned, the other request that was waiting, that means the slash profile, it will immediately start processing. It enters the processing here and it asks the request to wait here for 30 seconds. But before it can enter this endpoint or processing, can someone tell me what will be the value of current seconds?
20.
It will be 20, almost, or you can say approx 20. So
Yeah,
20 plus 30 becomes 50.
50.
And 50 is what will be returned from here. So that means this home endpoint is returning 10. Not 10, 20.
20.
And this profile endpoint is returning you 50.
50.
Let's see how are they being handled. So REST1 is the home endpoint. It says, okay, request comes, the response comes, it JSONify it, and then it logs the response that you have gotten. What will be the response here?
20.
It will be 20, and from the next response, it will be
50.
So 20 and 50 should be the answer. 20 and 50, it is the A option itself.
I have one question here.
Home,
Yes.
home, sir?
Sorry?
First response is from the home URL.
First is from the home, yes.
Because we are, this is in the order, right?
No, even the first response, since this is the process or the request that will get processed first, that's why this console.log is happening before.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I want to understand the behavior of promise in case of a single-threaded one where it's not multi. So instead of test, if there was a console.log and some string, will that print before the promises get executed?
Which console.log? You were asking about this only?
No, test. There is a statement called test at the end, right? Right at the end.
Yes, is a function.
Last one,
here.
Above script, yes. I mean, let's replace that with, or after that, let's say console.log and some string value. Will that be printed first?
Exactly, that would be printed first, yes.
Even though we are talking about it being a single thread, it not being multi-threaded.
The single-threaded is the Flask application, not this index.html. JavaScript, of course, asynchronous behavior is possible. The Flask application is single-threaded here, is what we are seeing.
Okay, so the promise behavior will continue to be the same then.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Because that's working on an event loop. Okay.
Someone else was also saying something?
No, sir, I got it, sir. I got the answer.
So how does 20 from the first part? I didn't get.
The request is being sent at 10, 10, 10. The first request is going to take 10 seconds to process. So 10 seconds was the time when this process entered this execution or this processing. It let the request wait for 10 more seconds. So number of seconds have become 20 now. And that is what you are returning.
Okay, sir. Got the. Thank
you. Yeah.
Okay, all right. Is that okay? Shall we move?
Yes.
All right. So we have the next question here. Which of the following statements is true about Redis? So data is always manipulated in the RAM. What do you think about this? Is it true? Is it false?
I think it's true.
True.
Okay. Yes, it is true, and it will instead always be true because we are talking about manipulation. We are not talking about the storage.
Okay.
We are talking about manipulation. Whenever any data needs to be manipulated, it needs to be done inside the RAM only, right? But when it comes to storage, of course, it is possible that you can store it in the hard disk. But manipulation always happens in RAM. The first option is true. The second option says it stores data on the disk by default.
That is, I mean,
that is also true.
Not necessarily true, right? Because
in case of Redis, by default or primarily, it is going to store the data in the main memory itself for the fast access purpose.
Unless you explicitly persist it, it won't store, right?
Yes, yes, correct. Okay, B option is wrong. C option says data cannot be reconstructed back in case of Redis.
There's a
true.
If there is a
So are we talking about the default behavior of Redis here? Because it does have certain configurations where you can change some of these.
It is no, it is not talking about default behavior.
So when they're saying cannot be reconstructed, do they mean like if we delete the data, or
No, let's say the server Redis crashes. Then when you restart Redis, the state in which the data will not be the same as when it crashed.
Yeah.
So the answer to this, whether it is true or false, is dependent on the B option. It says that can you store data on a disk inside Redis? I mean, when you are using Redis. By default, of course, it makes use of main memory, but of course, there are mechanisms through which you can store the data inside the disk as well. And if you are storing something inside the disk, that means you can always get the data back, even if your Redis crashes.
Yeah.
Right. So
But I
data
think in
cannot
this
be
case, the answer
reconstructed
is
back
A
is a
and
wrong
D.
actually whenever I use Redis, I just close the command prompt and it creates a dump file in my project folder.
Correct. Yes. So means there are multiple mechanisms, though of course we have not taught it in the course, but when you come at the industry level, you would see that we use mechanisms like snapshotting, or you can simply say snapshots. In case you would have heard about Git, how does it work? So it also takes snapshots at certain places. There is one more mechanism that we generally use is basically append to files. It is also known as AOF. So what does it do is whenever there is a write operation, it generally writes that particular operation details inside a file. So these are some mechanisms through which we can actually store data in the disk as well, and that can be reconstructed back later. Okay. The fourth option says data is stored as key value pairs. Of course, that is exactly what happens in Redis.
Yeah, so that's why I asked whether default behavior, right? So let's say you just install Redis and don't do any changes to the configuration. In that case, A and D is always true.
Yes. Yes.
B and C are not core features of Redis per se. I mean, those are all.
But they can still be achieved.
They can still be
achieved. I mean, I'm not disputing that because it's a question, right? So I'm. Yeah.
Yes. So see, the way B option is written here, it is definitely incorrect because it says it stores data on the disk by default.
By default,
By
yeah.
default, it does it on RAM. It does it on main memory.
But
whereas it says,
see, if I install Redis, there is no data at any point in time. I insert data into it, it stores in RAM. I shut down Redis, it's gone. That's the default behavior.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's why the option is wrong, no?
Yeah. No, I understand.
So option C is correct or what?
No, C is also wrong. Wrong.
His data
because
is
it
gone,
does not
right?
mention any scenario, which scenario it is talking about.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
if
So let
no
us say
scenario is
you
mentioned, we will
install-
assume that
you
it is
install
talking about
Redis.
all the scenarios included.
Yeah. So let's say you install Redis, you start Redis, there is no data. Let's say I insert some data, I update some data, and I shut down Redis. So whatever you had added or updated is all gone. That's the default behavior. So you can't reconstruct.
No, the third option says you cannot be or you will not be able to reconstruct data back is a false statement because it can be reconstructed.
The cannot word.
Cannot is what is making it wrong.
False.
Right? Because it
So,
can be reconstructed if you are storing it in the disk.
So by default, Redis stores it on the main memory. So according to default behavior, data can be reconstructed back.
No, not default behavior. In default behavior,
default.
you cannot reconstruct it back.
Cannot.
Until and unless you are not storing it in the disk, it is gone.
Okay.
All right, so A and D options are the correct one.
Yeah.
All right. Next question is regarding salary. So we have to again find out true statements out of these four options. Salary systems can consist of multiple brokers. Well, I hope every one of you would agree at this point of time. We have initiated salary with multiple brokers, so that's true. The second option says salary will automatically retry if connection is lost. I think it has even happened with me a couple of times during the live sessions too, when I forgot to start Redis and salary system automatically tries to reconnect. It is true. Redis and Redis
but
and
the
RabbitMQ.
question is, what will it retry? I mean, so doesn't
the
the
request.
English seem to be like incomplete? I'm sorry, I'm just nitpicking on this. Everything I'm asking is based on losing marks in the previous exams.
So here connection is specifically meant for the broker.
Okay.
I also lost a lot of marks, even though I thought that I got everything correct. So
Connection is meant for broker.
Got it. Thank you.
Redis and RabbitMQ are the only supported brokers.
No, that is false.
False.
There are
False.
others as well.
Yeah, that's.
Of course, there are many others as well.
I think in general, these kind of general statements are wrong, right? Because there could be any other service also.
Sometimes if we use general, it might be true, it might be wrong. Again, depends on the way those statements are written. And then the fourth option says it has features to monitor and schedule tasks. How many? I don't know how many of you have already used a framework or a library called Flow.
Called what?
So which library?
Flow, right? No.
Flow.
Flower.
No.
Anyways, it is a library that you can use in order to maintain.
But then won't beat also be the
Just
same
give me a
thing?
minute, please.
Salary beat.
So I think Anupam, he mentioned it, right? That give me a second or something.
No, I'm just joking here. Don't worry. Nothing.
Hey, on your comment about the English thing, right?
Yeah.
It's so confusing sometimes. I mean, I know in stats 2 or something, I really lost a lot of marks because of that. Just
Yeah, in this exam, I
lost.
lost 18 marks straight away, just pure English based, and one was this undefined and null. That was 27 marks gone.
Yeah.
And just unacceptable. That loss is you cannot recover from that loss. Very difficult.
I think in the very first class they should help in distinguishing between undefined, null, and reference.
No, the worst part is I had actually tested this before 1 day before the exam, and I knew it will be null. And for some reason in the exam, I just remembered every time these guys say, the instructors talk about undefined and never null. So I went and marked undefined, and that 9 marks was very painful.
It's like memory.
Normally the undefined is caught by the interpreter, whereas null is a return value. So only when something gets executed will you see null.
Got it. So that means that functions will generally return null and everything else should return undefined. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I lost on the hash also. I was looking so closely. I should have used my spectacles. I just.
Which hash?
There was a view question, right, on the hash, and then so there was one line with hash, one line without hash.
The last question.
Yeah. That was another 9 marks.
Till end, I was confused there, but I somehow selected the wrong one also.
Yeah, quiz 2 was pretty bad for me.
Yeah, even me, it was very bad.
Yeah. One was superb.
One was better. I don't know what the superb was.
Yeah, one was better. I think better is the right term.
But it was much helpful. Yeah.
So quiz 2 it was like, okay, I'll get 80. Then I looked at some questions. Okay, I'll get at least 75. Then I looked at some more questions. I was like, okay, I should stop looking now. This is not going in
How
any
much you
useful
got?
direction.
For one, if you
Actually, how
didn't
much
get
you
it,
got?
like if you missed something, you knew like right after the exam, you knew like you missed that. But quiz 2, everything it felt like you got everything right, like And
End-term paper for straight away 100, right? I
Yeah,
see
100.
from the PYQs.
Yeah, but
It
the
considers
100 is
one
the
sense it
scaling
is
part, but
better.
the problem
No, in
is
some
it
sense
can
it
range
is.
from anywhere to 29 to 39 questions.
33, I
Yeah,
think.
that's what.
I mean, that's
No, it
better.
can range from 29 to 39. 29 to 39 questions.
39 questions are.
That's
Yes,
actually
I've seen
good.
39 also.
Way too
But
much.
in quizzes, what happens if you lose 3, you will end up losing 6. So it gets
Oh, okay. This
amplified,
one you are
right?
saying the multiplication by 2 is not there.
Yeah, at least we are
Yeah,
So
seeing
we
it.
because
can.
of the conversion, like everything gets bigger.
Okay. Okay.
This is
Yeah,
out of
yeah, right,
mode
right.
only.
but it's
That's
like
why
when there is 30 questions and there is like this hash thing and all, like it requires a lot of focus, right? Like by the end,
Yeah, and
there is
also all these questions are very long. I mean,
very, very long.
when I say long, I mean the question itself.
Yeah,
Takes up
reading the
many
question
couple of
is
screens sometimes, so it just
So after quiz 1, we had requested that they should moderate the length of
yeah,
the code, and they made it even longer. So this time I'm not saying anything.
The length,
Otherwise,
the length generally
it's
is
like
the
you
problem. They
in a
should
court
have
of
like
justice, right? You go and interrupt the judge, and he will increase the fine.
Sometimes when two question of same code, in the second one they change something and we didn't observe and mark wrong.
generally it's better if they have like one question and then 4 sub questions from that. Instead
No,
of,
no. If
you
you get
just
one
read,
wrong, you
you
will get
just
everything wrong.
Yeah.
no, I mean like
a series.
I mean right now it is like
Yeah.
read index.html, read view,
At least
view
you have
as
to
view
read the
file,
code
and
once when
and
it's the
then
same code.
Same
yeah, and then
subcode.
next question again 2 giant files to read.
so nowadays in NPTEL exams, they have this button that will convert all the questions into a single document. So
Wow.
you can see the code flow without breaks and scrolling and everything.
No,
But I searched for the same thing in IIT exams. It's the same platform, everything is the same, but that button is missing. You cannot actually crunch down the code into a single frame or anything. You have to scroll up and down and then left and right and then try to figure out what the code is saying.
The other thing I've noticed is the monitors that are provided in these test centers, right? They have very low resolution.
That's what I was saying. Now I
creates more
can't read
problems.
questions without specs. I need specs to read the questions. Without that, I can't see properly.
And the mouse
I
is
mean,
also
specifically here, not at home. Home is fine.
Yeah, no, I crossed that threshold many years ago. So
mouse is also sometimes giving trouble when we try to scroll up and
The
down.
exam centers are not at all comfortable also too. I'm not getting the interest to read through all these long questions at all.
Sorry, what?
I think they.
No, the centers are not that comfortable, and even the code, we
Yeah,
cannot use any mouse
you get
pointers or something.
you get tired after some time. Like
Yeah.
I mentally I get very tired. It's not like I don't want to answer the questions, but I just get so tired going through the code. Then I'm like, okay, we'll see.
Length
Forget
of
it.
the
Let's
code,
mark the question and finish it.
length of the code makes it tiring to
Yeah,
read
yeah,
and
length of
execute
yeah,
the
it's too much.
logic.
Local storage question, mounted hook question was very, very long and confusing. Default.
I think they are more than testing the concept. In some questions, they are just testing the focus, like how much we can.
it's an overall assessment.
Some new concept gets introduced in every question whenever.
I think it's the issue for like older I think 18-year-olds like just in the college they have like more focus. Like, people who left the college and all it gets really tiring after a while. Like you can go through the first 5 long questions, you are fine. Then after a while, mind gets tired.
But all this helps.
In what way?
See, yeah. So I mean, if you're in front of a client, sometimes it can be worse than what we experience in exams.
I don't think anything can be worse than eating.
No, it is. Trust me, it is. Of course, over a period of time, you start growing thick skin and then...
Hi, am I audible now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
All right, I got disconnected. So let me quickly start presenting my screen. This doesn't happen again. Okay. So yeah, we were, I guess, on question number 25th. So salary systems can consist of multiple brokers. This is a true statement. Salary will automatically retry if the connection is lost is a true statement. Rabbit and MQ are the only, Redis and Rabbit MQ are the only supported brokers is a wrong statement. And it has features to monitor and schedule tasks is also a true statement. I was talking about a framework or a library called Flower in Python.
Sir,
that
what
helps
about
you keep a
salary
track
beat?
No, salary beat is just a scheduler, which is going to push task to your salary system. It is not going to tell you that when and what the status of the task is.
So which is that library? Flower.
Flower, yes. So first, second, and
last
option are correct.
So can I ask one small question on APIs before we just go into the next one?
Yes.
I had asked this initially, but I think at the start of the session, the term, but an API, a route with a get put post is an API, right? A Flask route, like my app dot something and then get put post delete if all for, is that an API or is that not an API?
Yeah, it is.
It is generally considered as an endpoint.
Okay.
So then what is an API? So when somebody asks me, have you implemented APIs in your project? What does that mean?
API, okay. With respect to project, we would say that if your backend is actually returning JSON responses, and that is what your front end is making use of.
Oh my God. Okay. So I gave an incorrect response. I didn't even know what these guys are asking. And every time I clarified earlier, it was always that classes are okay and APIs can be implemented without classes, and then the endpoints do
Flask
implement.
RESTful, okay, classes.
See, Anupam, one way to think about an API is API is a service. So you say I want something, it gives you that, and there's a very standard way of defining the protocol. There's a contract between the caller and the and the service provider. So that's what API really is. Conceptually. And
yeah, but the main thing is the main thing is how is it interpreted in the Mat2 project? I think it's was just explaining.
Oh, Mat2 project. I've not done it. So
yeah. No. Sir, you were saying that so JSON is the main thing if I'm returning JSON.
So if we have API endpoints and then we are using that open API documentation to kind of show that all those are
there is a documentation. There is a Flask library, Flask RESTful, by the help of which we can create REST APIs.
Yeah, so if we have used REST APIs using Flask RESTful, they are like proper APIs, right?
Yeah, I've used it in Mat1, Mat2 both. So you can refer the documentation. It's well defined there.
No, but then if I use get put post delete,
no,
that
they're
also
just
endpoint
API endpoints. They're not proper APIs.
Okay.
I feel like I don't really have any industry experience, but I feel like API is more conceptual and it's just a method of the programmer being able to access the data. And normally you just use some method of communication. In our case, we are using HTML, so get put post is what we use. It's just if I ask the backend this data or I need to do this, would the backend be able to provide that service?
No, you're right. See, these days API has the concept of API has become very narrow. For anyone who's done computer science, APIs are nothing but at some level remote procedure calls. Okay? Basically, there's a function call. Instead of that function call being made on the same machine, let's say you make a function call which actually gets executed on a different machine, and the response is sent back to the machine that is calling.
And you skip the front end because you're doing machine to machine.
Yeah. So that's
Get, put, post, these are just HTTP requests. And they are used to make these requests to APIs, which make the resources available.
I mean, one big distinction between like normal operations and API is that whenever there's API, there's a lot of data involved. Right? If you're looking at a normal like endpoint, that you'll be passing some HTML back and forth, but in API, there's structured data in form of JSON or XML.
So if you talk about the standard definition of an API, it is simply an interface.
Yeah.
Right? That your front end is probably making use of in order to interact with some remote storage.
No, actually, the reason I was asking this question is that why is the L1 guy asking that have you implemented API? Is it possible even to do view and backend without API? Say that again.
Was this a question from your AppDev1 Viva?
No, AppDev2. So how can you even implement a project in AppDev2 without API? I was so confused when he asked me. I asked him, are you talking about classes? What are you asking about? Because I can't understand that, what API are you talking about? And so I was very surprised, and that's why I thought I'll just clarify here so that in the exam if something like this comes, I don't, mark something wrong.
Anyways, you would have gotten marks for that purpose. Otherwise, means if you don't have an API, I don't think anyone can clear the level 1 Viva.
Yeah.
I mean, itself is an API.
Yeah, exactly. So I was doing fetch and everything. So without JSON and returns and codes and everything, I just cannot function. So
in AppDev1, I consider it a valid question because generally we use functions like render template string, etc. So they will not be considered a part of API, or you can say an API endpoint. Because an API is just expected to return you the data in the JSON format.
This get put post.
So in the MAT2 course and MAT2 project, APIs specifically are talking about RESTful APIs, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because there are, hundreds of different types of APIs.
So when we are talking about RESTful APIs, we specifically say that GET should be doing this. Means post, put, and tags. They should be used for
that's what. So I showed that the same endpoint, but if you use the different verbs, it is doing different stuff. So that means it is RESTful as an implemented.
RESTful API, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So your screen is not shared.
Yeah.
Okay, my screen is not shared. Let me start.
How many questions are left?
I think we have a total of 30. We have reached till 25th, so 5 more. Okay. So which of the following is our true regarding message broker? All right. I hope all of you have studied about message broker by now. When we were doing the salary session, we talked about what a message broker is. So the first option is they serve as intermediary between applications, which allow senders to issue a message without knowing the state of the receiver. And the B option is just a contradiction of that, which says it allows senders to issue a message only after knowing the state of the receiver. So what do you think? What is the
A is correct.
Option A.
Because you should not even be concerned about who is going to consume that particular message, right? So A is correct here. It all happens asynchronously.
Yeah.
The C option, okay. C option says it is asynchronous. D option says it is synchronous. So of course, as I mentioned, if A option is correct, that means C option is implicitly correct. So A and C are the correct options here. B and D are just a contradiction of this. All right. The next question is about webhooks and WebSockets. A webhook uses HTTP protocol in general. That is a true statement. It happens over HTTP protocol. A socket is used to achieve two-way communication. Though we haven't really studied much about WebSockets in the course, but the only introduction that we have seen, or the only information that we have gathered from the course is that yes, these are something that we use in order to achieve two-way communication. A popular example is a chatting application.
Chatting, yeah.
Yes, chatting application. The third option says a webhook is primarily used for server-to-server communication. That is exactly what happens. Wherever the webhook is originating from, you are going to give a webhook receiver URL, and the request will be sent to that receiver URL. So the request is being originated from a server, from a machine to another machine. Whereas in case of normal web browsing, what happens? We as humans interact with some machines, with some remote servers. So in webhook, the communication happens server to server. So that is a correct statement. The D option says a webhook generally keeps the collection long alive. Since we are talking about HTTP protocol, it happens very less often. So D option is of course wrong, because in webhook we generally expect the response to be very immediate. Right. So D option is also incorrect here. So the only options that are correct are: first option is correct, second option is also correct, third option is also correct. So A, B, and C are correct.
So, sir, if we want that the connection should stay for a long period of time, what should we use?
If you want,
sir, the connection to be like live for a long period of time.
You are probably working with polling.
Polling, or I mean, other is don't use HTTP.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we have a question on polling now. So which of the following statements is false regarding polling and long polling? So see, the question mentions regarding polling and long polling. So long polling is specifically mentioned here, and for short polling, we are only using the term polling, and that is a general convention. Whenever you want to refer to short polling, it basically the short keyword or the short term here is basically optional for you. So if you use polling, you implicitly mean short polling.
Okay.
So in polling means short polling. A client makes repetitive calls to the server at fixed time intervals. That is exactly what happens in short polling. Whereas in long polling, you keep the connection alive till you receive something, till you receive some relevant data from the server. This is what happens in long polling. So first option is true here. The second option says polling requires a persistent connection to the server. Polling here means short polling again. So does it require a persistent connection? No.
No.
Whereas C option says in long polling mechanism, the connection is kept alive till the server responds. That is true. So A and C options are the correct one. B is wrong.
So
okay, we had to pick the false statement. So yeah, B is correct.
That's false.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is another thing one has to be very careful about.
Yes. So which of the following statements are correct? A webhook generally pushes the messages to an application. What do you think about it? Whenever you have used webhook, do you push do you push something or do you pull something?
It's a push.
Sorry?
Webhook typically push data to the webhook.
Yes, whenever you use webhook, you generally push something.
Okay.
You use post request in order to push something. So first option is correct. Second option says webhook pulls the messages from an application, but an API pushes the messages to an application. Well, this is just the reverse of the general scenario. Webhook are generally used to push messages, and APIs are generally used to pull in messages. That does not mean that API cannot push messages, right? Or cannot push data.
That
but
is
generally we as end users consume API in order to pull some information. Right. The C option says API can pull and push the messages from and to an application. That is the correct option. So it is just clarifying that.
So if an API is pushing the message, pushing something into an application, that is reverse API, right?
No, not necessarily. See, as I told you, an API is just an interface between your application, between let's say your front end and a remote storage. So let's say if you want some information from the remote storage, you would pull that information. But let's say at the same time, if you want to make some changes in the storage or in the data that is currently stored in the database, then of course you would be pushing something. That itself is an API. But the more general purpose of using an API is you pull the information. Generally, APIs are made for this purpose. Let's say I have a big data set of some relevant information that many people are seeking. Then I would be generally creating an API and expose that data to all the people I am willing to share with.
And if
instead of simply sharing that entire data with them.
And if an API is trying to push something into the application, what it is called?
It's API itself.
Okay.
I have a question about the format of the question. Because in this case, if you look at it, actually all of the above is correct, right?
We can pull the message. No, B option is incorrect here.
A and C would be correct.
A and C correct.
Yes, B is incorrect.
Okay,
so A and C are the only correct options here.
Okay. In an event, let's assume, let's say ABC is also correct and D is all of the above. Then what is the expected answer there?
So B is
all four will be clicked or only D will be clicked?
D.
Of course, you will only click D because it will be a MCQ question in that case.
MCQ, yeah.
And itself is a hint to you.
Boxes.
That itself is a hint to you. If you encounter radio buttons, that means it's an MCQ.
So sometimes we've seen it as like
Yeah, there were
choice.
instances where the checkboxes were given and
I
all
just
of
click
the above
everything.
was also there.
Yeah, we've
Multiple
seen it.
correct.
But I guess in TCS you generally encounter the question types as well, MCQ or MSQ, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Definitely.
I think that should help. That should clear it.
Okay.
Sir,
Sir, so
regarding this-
talking about yes, so talking about the question. So APIs generally pulls the information, but can also push the information.
Yes.
And webhook generally only pushes the message to the application.
Webhook is generally a convention, right? It is not a hard-coded concept as such. It is just a convention.
So shouldn't it be that you can push information through a webhook? Webhook does not push information, right? Because webhook belongs to the application. It doesn't belong to the server, or it doesn't belong to the other machine. So it doesn't belong to the subscriber, to the publisher. It belongs to the subscriber. A subscriber subscribes through a webhook. So you cannot push information through a webhook. A webhook cannot push information. You can push information to the subscriber through the webhook.
Even if it belongs to the subscriber, he cannot pull when and where he
No,
wants.
that's what I'm saying. The publisher will push through the webhook. So a webhook generally pushes messages incorrect because webhook doesn't push. It is the publisher that pushes through the webhook.
No, like we shouldn't compare it to PubSub really, because webhook is just going to push some message to the server via the post.
No, I'm not talking about the PubSub model. I'm just talking about two servers, naming them Pub and Sub so that it's simpler to understand. Is my interpretation correct? Is what I'm just trying to figure out. Or a webhook actually does push.
Let's see what
Don't bring in
sources.
public
Let's see what
subscribe into
sources.
webhook at all. Okay, it's simply there are two. Let's say there are two
Yeah,
applications.
let me call them server 1 and server 2 if that
Yeah,
makes
let's
it
say there is
easier.
application A on server A. There's application B on server B. Okay. In application B on server B, it does some processing, and then it needs to push data into server A. So as you rightly said, it will call the webhook on server A and ask it to push the data or store the data or do whatever it needs to. So in that sense, it is pushing the data. Obviously, webhook is the means by which it pushes the data. And I think this statement essentially means that. I mean, so normally you will find such statements, but webhook is used to push data into something, and it is called by some other application. Typically, what you will see is one application will call as API, and in that API, it will actually register a webhook. So that when the API finishes its job, it can then call that webhook to say, I am done. So in a way, it's like a promise construct. Okay. I hope.
Sir, audible?
See, I would still say that the webhook mechanism is generally used to push the data, right? Because what you are expecting is you are expecting some information based on a certain event that has been triggered.
No, sir. Webhook is used to push the data. I completely agree. Webhook pushes the data. I don't agree. And again, I'm just I'm being pedantic, and you can I can ignore this. But generally, webhook is used to push the data is absolutely correct. I completely agree with you. Just saying that webhook pushes the data, pushes the message or the data. Does it is?
Yeah, I mean, it can be phrased better, I guess.
So what did you mention is correct?
Just a matter of construction of the sentence.
Weak English. English is ordinary. Yeah.
Anupam, could you please mention again what did you said? I mean, what did
So
you say?
that's what I was. So when you said that webhook is used to push the data, I completely agree with you. That's even my understanding. But a webhook pushes the data generally implies that a webhook is active in this. And so, like I said, I may be just doing too much of going too deep into the English, which is not needed. I'm overthinking it. So webhook generally pushes the messages. Is that an appropriate way of looking at it? Like in general, without. how would I look at this in terms of a question I have to answer? Because once I use a webhook and I go to my server and I tell the server, send me this information, and that's about it. And the server will push through the webhook that, okay, you know, this thing is done and here's the data. Sir, are you there?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, let me discuss it once with my colleagues and then let me get back to you on this. Though I still believe, but anyways, let me once discuss it. All right. Okay, so looking at the rest of the options, B option is incorrect and C option is correct. A option, let's say if it is, kind of a point of discussion as of now, so I'm leaving it as of now.
All of the above, yeah.
Okay, so all of the above here is correct. So anyways, so what is the role of the message broker? I think we have already seen such question before. Okay, this is
The
regarding
question that we completed just now, we saw that B is incorrect, right? API pushes. API can pull and push, right? Then why B is correct?
Yes, so why D is correct then?
Why is B?
so that is why all of the above options are correct, because
No,
C
you
option
said
is
B
also
is
correct.
incorrect.
B is
No,
wrong.
B,
B is
B
wrong.
should
Sir,
be incorrect.
A and B are saying opposite things now.
All right. Okay, it should have been
A and C.
A and C.
A and C.
While saying you said that B is wrong, but then I guess
yes. C is wrong. B is wrong. Yes.
Sir, regarding B, I have a doubt. Let's say if B was worded a bit differently, and let's say webhook pushes the message from an application, but an API pulls the message to the application, right? Would that statement be correct or wrong? Because it seems to imply that API will. Sir?
That would be considered correct. Yeah. And if we are talking about a general scenario, that would be considered correct.
Okay.
See, one question I have: which application is referred to in these statements? Because whenever you're talking about interaction between two systems, there are two applications. So, what is the?
It could be any application, means whichever is on the recipient end.
Recipient, the caller or the?
The caller, yes, the caller.
Okay. So if application A is calling a webhook into B, application A is calling.
No, I was specifically talking about API. So in API, when you say you are pulling the messages from an application, when you are pushing the messages to an application, that means you are basically returning some data to the caller.
You are returning a data to the caller, yes. And you could also call an API to say push the data into a third application, in the second application. Right? That can be done with an API.
Yeah.
In case of webhook, the caller is pushing. Caller is
pushing.
Invoking a webhook or calling a webhook to push data into another application. These are the word application and what it refers to in that statement becomes very critical.
I understand. Yes.
I mean, it's like you're two moving trains and you're trying to see an object, that kind of thing. It's all relative. Anyway, I mean, I think people got the concept.
All right. Yeah, let me come back on this. So 30th question says, which of the statements are true regarding message broker?
So if I may just make a recommendation, whenever we have these questions like 29, if there is a simple diagram there, right, at the top it says application A, application B, so that there is a proper reference given as to what application one is talking about, I think it makes the question clearer. And you will actually get, people will be able to provide the right answer if they know it.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
So, as someone else pointed out, in the question 29, option B, if we interchange the words push and pull, like webhook pushes and an API pulls, you said that option would be considered true, right? That option would be considered correct. But in that case, when we say webhook pushes, that is the only job of webhook. But in the second part of the option, if you say API pulls, that is
we are
not
talking
the
about
only
a general scenario here. we're talking about a general scenario here, and in general scenario, an API is generally consumed for pulling information.
Yeah, that becomes a general scenario for API and the only purpose of the webhook. So I don't see they both can fit into a single option.
Maybe this option is something that you will never encounter, is what I would assume as of now, because that option itself becomes a lot of comes with a lot of contradictions.
Yes. Okay.
Because this but is basically making that confusion there.
Confusion.
Yeah, confusing.
Anyways, all right. Okay, so question number 30. What is the role of the message broker? So I think just a general thing here again. It ensures that the messages get delivered to the correct recipients. In general, if the message is undelivered in the first try, it fails and doesn't retry. It ensures the messages are processed in the LIFO manner. It can send messages to multiple recipients if required. What do you think? Which all are correct? Which all are wrong?
I think A and D are correct, and B and C
A and
should.
D.
Yeah, first is correct. Second is generally, yes, in general, it doesn't really happen that way. Means most of the services that we use, they generally at least retry. It ensures that the messages are processed in LIFO. Those, I hope LIFO is clear to everyone. LIFO means last in, first out. And D option, of course, is incorrect. Correct. It can send messages to multiple recipients. So A and D are correct here. Right. So yeah, this was the last question from the list of questions that we had brought for you.
Sir, yeah, sorry, please.
Yeah, so I was just saying, please let me know in case you have any additional questions.
Yeah, I do have one. Can I just share my screen again?
Yes.
So this link is shared, right?
I have shared it in the chat. Yes.
So in the final exam, how many questions you can accept, sir?
In final exam, you will probably get 32 questions.
32. Okay. Yeah.
In
sir,
quiz one or quiz 2, you generally get 16, right?
Sorry. Yeah, 16. Yeah.
How many do you? Okay. You will just get the double of this.
Double.
So this particular question, I'm not talking about this type of question. I'm talking this specific question. I mean, I have the code. I can paste it if you want to run it. And the answer is also given AppDev 270.
Okay.
Okay, and so now I can point out the error I'm facing here is that here in local storage.marks, local storage.mark is being treated as an integer, while in reality it is a string.
Okay.
And that's why this answer will never come to AppDev 270. In fact, none of these options will come in the answer. So how should I look at this in there? Logically, I understand what the examiner is trying to do. But I have seen a lot of questions where the examiner gives the same question and expects me to put my logic to the side and remember the rules in in local storage, etc. Like, for example, the default was one such example where you put your logic to the side and focus on the syntax. So here, syntactically, the answers will never match. Logically, I understand, and the answers are matching if you use the logic. So should I assume that the answer is incorrect in this case, or what should I do? In the exam, I will go with syntax.
Why is local storage
in that case, you can probably look at the different options that you have. So as I can see the available options for this particular question, I don't see any option which says that it could be a NaN or something like that. So in that case, you can probably go with what your logic says. But yes, most of the time, as you said, you should go with syntax. In case there will be such discrepancies that we'll encounter post the exam, we will definitely take a look at those.
Okay, but it will certainly be by default. It is certainly a string. That's what it should be by default.
Yes.
Unless you parse it.
Correct.
Also, I'm assuming that
thank you.
Before the answer options are given, this code is actually run and seen, right?
In the
MAD1 and MAD2 are the subjects where I've seen the least amount of errors ever. So I'm very surprised actually to see this kind of
Yeah, because I mean, you would not expect that in a coding.
Anupam, can you share that question again?
I'll paste it in the chat. I'll paste its code in the chat.
Yes. So I believe in that question, there is a event connected to the input tag to the DOM event change and not input.
Okay.
So what is the difference between DOM events input and change? Will change only happen if you press enter?
Change, I guess, triggers. It actually gets triggered when you make some change in the input box and you click somewhere outside. Whereas input is something that is triggered as soon as you make a change.
Okay. So, okay, sir, I've seen code where change doesn't get triggered unless you press enter.
If you click anywhere outside of the text box, it would be triggered.
So change.
Sir, I have seen it get triggered even while typing, or is that on input? Like I've seen that's on input. Okay.
Sir, if possible, can you please run this code? I also have doubt in this question.
Okay.
So the methods part is repeated because I could not paste the entire question. So please keep that in mind.
Sorry, what did you say? The methods part is?
In the end, you'll see methods appearing twice. That is because I could not paste the entire code, so I had to paste the code into two parts.
Okay, I think you will also have to share the HTML for that.
Yeah, I'm just doing that. Your screen is not visible.
Okay, my screen. Okay, present it.
I have shared the HTML part, and
Can someone also get me the view CDN link for view 2 if possible?
For view?
View CDN.
Okay, view CDN.
For view
2. The JS for view 2, you're saying? Okay, but
I mean
sorry.
The CDN link for view 2.
Just 1 second.
Yeah, shared.
It is what? It is app.
So below compute marks, you also have to put the mustached marks. Below, mustache marks.
All right, there's the CDN link there. Yes, thanks. All right, this is the initial state. What do you want me to do here?
Sir, it is saying if you type nterm in this box and refresh twice, then what will be the...
What should I enter here?
Nterm exam.
Nterm exam without spaces.
Nterm exam. Do I have to click outside or not?
Yeah.
Okay, I have to click outside.
And hard refresh thrice.
It says without clicking anywhere. It says exactly.
No. Without clicking is after hard refresh. So you do nterm exam, and then you hard refresh thrice without clicking.
Without clicking.
Okay, let me do one thing. Let me delete everything from the local storage, and then we will observe every behavior. So I don't know where all of this is coming from. Anyways, let us edit it completely. And so this is the initial state. Which event is actually there? It is the change event. So change event will be triggered only when you click outside. Okay. So you want me to write here
end term exam.
So you can see that nothing is happening in the local storage. So I am assuming that, okay, looks like caps lock is on. After doing it, I should refresh, right?
Refresh, hard refresh 3 times.
Oh, click outside, right?
First time. This is second time. This is third time.
I thought you were supposed to click outside after writing it the first time and then hard refresh.
No, that is why the answer came to AppDev 270, because he didn't write about clicking.
Local storage is more setting also.
But I can't, sir, I can't, I mean, I don't know what the other students, I don't think I can ever think, I don't think I can ever think to this extent that the clicking was missing, so the answer will be like entirely different.
So basically that event never happened. The change event never occurred.
So since change event never
because the question now that I'm reading the question, you know, I don't know who pointed it out that there's no clicking required. I don't think
this is what we were discussing, that what's the difference between input and change event.
If
so no, that I understand, but in the exam, I mean, who
is there?
Who would assume that it was on purpose that you missed it, or that it was just missed because, you know, the question was not framed?
If it is not written explicitly that you have to click outside, that means it was on purpose.
Yeah, I guess they were trying to test our knowledge of change and all of that, right?
Yeah. Whether you know the difference between input and change.
If we like, is there a button to refresh, or is it like, how do we refresh, like directly using Control R or something? Or is it different?
Sorry.
So how what are we discussing here? Refreshing?
No. So if you do a hard refresh, it's basically that the refresh button at the top, right? So Control and that, or Alt and that, you can do that.
Control R will just refresh the page. Control Shift R will do a hard refresh.
Yeah.
Sir, I'm getting conflicting directions. One says
okay, so see,
sometimes you
right now we have nothing in the local storage. I write
no, not about that. It's about sometimes use logic and sometimes it needs, unless it is explicitly stated, don't do anything. That and the reason I'm again saying it is because each question like this costs me 10 marks straight away, 9 marks, 10 marks, depending on, you know.
Yeah.
So this time I'm certainly going to lose a grade because of you know, some of this kind of questions where I knew exactly what is going on, but I just missed one word here or there in English. That English
was probably the reason behind getting this answer 70. No changes required.
Yeah. No, now it makes complete sense.
Yeah.
No clicking and it's just 70.
As soon as you click outside, then you get these values in the local.
Yeah, and every time I was running this code, I was clicking outside.
Anupam, see, this is a great example of, in a real world, an end user says, hey, I am seeing a different behavior. The developer always says, no, it's not supposed to do that. Until you actually go and sit with them and see what they're doing, that's when you find out, oh, they're not taking one step, or they're taking an additional step. This question is exactly like that for me.
I don't know, man.
Sir, I also have doubt in another question. Can I share my screen?
Yes.
Sir, can you see my screen?
I can.
Sir, in this same program was in 2 different set of paper. In one it was running as a script, and in another one it was running as a REPL environment. But the answer is different. But when I run this code in my VS Code, In the script mode, the answer was different what is given here. I don't actually find the difference what is.
What do you mean by script mode?
The question is saying it executes as a script.
So script means you will have to write it in a file and then execute it using Node.js.
Node.js.
Okay. In that case, global and window was not there, so this is not
in that
referred
case,
to.
the entire program will be wrapped inside another function that would be implicitly created by the environment for the program to get executed. So in that case, this will actually be referring to something else, an empty object, and not the global object.
Okay, whenever it is a script mode, it's in Node.js environment.
That means you are executing a file.
Okay, not in the browser or any.
Yes.
And where would you have the window object? In what situation can I assume a window object?
Or if you add your JavaScript code in the script, script tag.
Okay. So if this was with a script tag, then it would not be undefined anymore, right?
I will have to look at the.
Yes, sir. It was running fine. It was 3939 when I run in the script mode.
Script mode means in the browser.
When I run in the HTML and
that time it runs like a REPL environment.
Sir,
is there sorry Gokul, can I just let me just finish my. Sir, is there a situation at all where this dot a will refer to 50 in an arrow function here, just like it is?
This dot a will refer to 50, is it?
Yeah, so I'm talking the fifth line of code, where let in
you are talking about a regular function or the
no, I'm talking in this current setup.
Okay, in this
current code setup, is there any way that this dot a will print 50?
This dot a will print 50. Yes, there is a way. If you pass obj1 inside the call.
Okay, that's the only one, right? Nothing else will make it print 50.
I guess so.
Either it will be undefined or it will be 39.
Probably yes.
Okay, thank you.
But isn't that an arrow notation there?
Yes, it is.
But wouldn't that mean this is global?
No. Look at the context. Look at the enclosing context.
Sir, if a variable a is inside this function, a is something value, then this context will refer to this dot a will refer to that value. No?
So could you just like run this code, show that one?
I mean, anywhere.
So it is like obj1.func.call, right? But then the enclosing context is like global or what?
Enclosing context for what?
Because when we do obj1.func, right, we are just having the text. We are just kind of extracting the text of the function.
Again, it depends on the environment that you are running this program in.
But still, like obj1.func is just text, right? And then .call is the.
Okay, so if you don't pass anything here, that means it will by default refer to the global object.
Yes. So by default, it will refer to the global object. That is what is happening, right?
Yes.
Because obj1.func does not mean that we are calling the function with the context of obj1. It just means that we are calling the text, that we are just extracting the function text from the object.
There is function text. What do you mean by function text?
Like the function which is in obj1, that is what we are referring to when we do obj1.
So this function is being invoked with a different execution context is what all it does, the last statement of the program.
No, it's like we are not specifying the context in which it is executed.
If you're not specifying, by default, it will be considered as global object, global context.
Yeah, but he also explained that in Node.js, it will be undefined. In a script, it will be a Windows object. Okay. And REPL also, it will be a Windows object. So there is a situation where it will not be a Windows object also. It will just be some object which doesn't have anything. So please remember that.
Sir, if we define a local variable to this function, a is equal to something, then this will refer to that value.
No. What? It won't. Only a will refer to that particular value, not this. If you are creating a local variable, this will never be referring to that local value.
But sir, this arrow function is running in this function context, function execution. Yes. If we define a local variable a here, then this dot a refer to that variable.
What does this refer to?
In arrow function, it will refer to its parent.
So what is this inside the parent context? It is either global or I think it is global. Right. So global object must have a property named A. Then only you will get some value in its place. Creating a local variable inside a function won't create a property inside the global object.
So then this dot A will never be 50, right? Then
this dot A will never be 50. If you look at the current state, yes.
Okay.
So can I stop sharing?
Yes. Means is your doubt clear?
In Node.js script or REPL environment, it will be undefined, and in browser, it will be the window object, right?
See, again, I haven't gone through the entire question, but all I can say is that if you run your file as a script, running a file as a script means you are writing your code in a .js file, and then you are trying to execute it using node commands, say node abc, node index.js, something like that. That would be considered as script environment. Whereas REPL environment means you are running it inside the browser console, or you are adding your JavaScript code inside the script tag of your HTML, or you simply write it inside a file and you add that JS file inside the script tag of an HTML.
So just once more to be clear, like in REPL environment, we will have the window object, right?
Yes.
And browser environment, we'll have window object.
Sorry, I kind of
in browser and REPL we have window object, right?
No, in REPL we don't.
In REPL we don't.
I think.
What do you mean by window object? Means in every case we have window object, but
so let me clarify what we are all asking. So when we don't pass any contextual object in that call, obj1 func.call, so what everyone is asking is, under what circumstances can we assume that this dot something points to a window object versus some random wrapper object which
it will always be a global object. If you don't pass anything in call, apply, or bind, it will always be a global object.
No, you so there's one situation where it will come as undefined, right? And that is because the global object doesn't contain, there's a different global object than the one that we are assuming as a global object. Or no. Okay, so when will this the window object and the global object, when will they be the same? What are the situations? So when will it be undefined? I think is what everyone wants to understand.
Is named as window object in case of browser, whereas global object is generally referred with global this in case of node environment.
Okay,
just a name for a different for the same object, just different names for same object.
Yeah, but the output differs based on this, right?
Based on environment, yes.
Based on the environment. And I think the question everyone is asking they're trying to get clarity on is, which are the environments in which this will be undefined and which are the environments in which it will be defined.
Basically the confusion or the entire difference in the output comes because you are using a keyword called where. Now the property of where is, if you do it in the browser console, then it automatically adds that particular variable as a property in the global object. Whereas if you do it in the script environment, it won't. So that is why even if this is referring to the global object, then this dot, that particular variable, won't give you the value of variable that you have defined using where. The reason is this property was not added in the global object.
Okay, and if my question does not explicitly say REPL environment, then I will always assume a script environment in the question.
Yes.
Okay. So that means by default it will be undefined unless a different environment is suggested.
What is undefined? Sorry, what is undefined?
So in the context of that question, the this dot a. Who was showing the question? Can you please show it again? I think it was Deepa.
I'm pasting in chat.
Is it possible to see the execution of the code to get a better clarity?
You can put a debugger and then try it.
Sir, I made one change. I give a equal to 67 in func. You can remove that line.
It's okay.
Sir, so here in this code, basically, if you go to line number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the sixth line, which is this colon this dot a.
Okay.
What are the environments in which this will throw undefined? This will show undefined.
A should be undefined. Okay. Fine.
Right. So in this context, we were asking that when a question is given to us, we assume that it is being run in a script and environment, which means this .a will always show undefined, unless explicitly a browser or REPL environment is put in the question.
Correct. Yes.
Right. That. So has everyone understood this now? Do you guys
Can
have
you
clarity?
repeat? Can you repeat?
Okay. So what sir is saying is that every question in the question paper related to JavaScript specifically is assumed to be in a node environment or a script environment. It will not be in a browser or REPL environment unless explicitly stated, which means the this.a will not point to the global context. It will point to a different wrapper context, which is still a global object, will not have var a values there.
See, this.a is still referring to the global object.
Yeah. Yes, but var a will be missing. Var a will be missing in that.
Exactly, correct.
And so it will be undefined.
If
now at least I have clarity now, like how to tackle this question.
If array was not there, it would have been undefined.
Anyway, it would have been undefined. Var is there, then also it's undefined.
No. So var sorry, this will be undefined only in non-REPL and non-browser environments. Or
yes, that's what he's saying. Script environment.
I thought REPL itself is a script environment. It just, why would it? It's not a browser environment.
See, REPL and REPLit, they both are two different things. Okay.
Okay.
REPLit is a web application. REPL is a kind of an environment. The full form is, I guess, read, eval, print, loop.
So, but that is what REPL means, right?
Okay. So we are, so the result can be different.
REPLit also is REPL. So just clarifying that confusion in case.
So the result can be different in each of them. Or will be different. So the result itself will be different in each of them. So if I just go to REPL, not REPL i8, if I just go to REPL and run it as a command line, I'll get a different result, right?
Yes.
Okay. For the purpose of exam, whenever they say REPL, they mean REPLit. It is a
no. REPL means browser console.
Browser
in console. Exam, we will never mention REPLit. I don't think I have created any question where I would have specifically said that you are running this program in REPLit. Though I remember many instances where I have written REPL. So REPL means browser console environment, read, event, print loop.
Okay. Thank you.
So there was one question in quiz one for REPLit, not this quiz one, some PYQ where REPLit was explicitly mentioned, but it was around 4 or 5 terms ago. After that, I've never seen it.
Okay. I could not really remember REPLit, but anyways, it might have come.
Yeah, mostly it is REPL only and explicitly stated.
Or maybe some autocorrect would have been accepted in some weird scenarios. That might be the case. But anyways, I'm saying that I don't think you will be getting any questions that would explicitly mention REPL. REPL is what will be mentioned.
Understood, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Sir, I have a doubt. Sir, this is a view question. Sir, if in the HTML we have a V model, in the text box we have a V model, sorry, in the input tag we have a V model, and the data field is in the main view component, sorry, main view. Sir, so once we change the, we input something into the text field, the data field changes because it's a model, V model we are using. So once we hard refresh the page, then the app should revert back to its original data field values.
Yes.
So that's all. That was my question. Thank you.
So one last question. Programmatic changes do not trigger events. Programmatic data changes do not trigger events. Is that correct?
Programmatic changes like?
This dot A is equal to 20. That will not trigger @input @change.
Could you please repeat?
No, it won't.
A data field, let's say I have a data in view, I have a variable called A or ABC. And ABC is a V model with an input field. So in ABC I put like what, hi or hello, it triggers at change or at input. But now instead of putting it in the input box, I go and change it in the code itself. I don't go to the input box.
How do you
I
do
make
it?
this dot abc equal to
just
I have
JavaScript.
changed JavaScript, simple.
Okay, okay, yes.
So that will not trigger the events at change at input.
No, they will not.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
There's somebody asking in chat. Can you please clarify?
What is there?
Yeah.
Just to be clear, since my audio cut out, browser, this dot A is undefined for where A equals to 10. For browser, this dot A is undefined. Under arrow function context. Okay, you're specifically talking about arrow function. So in arrow function, this means global. And if this is global, so no, then in that case, browser will give you this dot A equals to 10. Because inside arrow function, this refers to global context. In case that is what the enclosing context for the arrow function is, then in that case, if this is referring to global and you have created var A equals to 10, that means since it is getting executed in browser, this will be created as a property inside the global object. So this dot A will start giving you 10. And REPL, again, what does this REPL mean? A REPL8 or what?
Same as browser console, browser console.
Okay. And node environment means, okay, see again, in node environment also you can run interactive shell. So that will also work the way REPL does. Okay, so node environment means when you are executing a file, you write your program inside a file and then you say node, whatever the file name is. Then in node environment, it's undefined. So if you say node environment, then your entire program will be wrapped up inside another function. And then this var won't be created as a global property. I mean, the variable won't be created as a global property. In that case, it will be undefined, yes.
Okay, so then in node environment, when you're not running using like a shell, it will wrap it around a wrapper object and it will be undefined.
Maybe you can look at, I don't really exactly remember the section name or the session number, but I have discussed it in details in the initial sessions that we had for this particular term, that how does it behave differently in a script environment and in a REPL environment. But again, I cannot tell you the exact session number. I guess it will be somewhere in week 2 or week 3, not more than that.
So, and also whenever they say script environment, they're talking about Node.js.
Node file name, that environment. Okay, so is there anything else?
Yes.
All right, so if there is nothing else, then we can probably end this session. I would like to wish you all the best for your end-term examination, and hopefully all of your efforts will yield good outcomes.
Also, sir, the level of this term's exam will be moderate, or we can expect some tricky questions like we discussed.
So will it be more in line with quiz 1 or quiz 2?
Yeah.
I mean, exam is always easy.
Yes, sir.
That's an illusion.
That is true, if you know the answers.
That's an illusion, basically. But
yeah, sir. It is easy for people who are setting the questions.
Okay.
But
so,
generally, how it will be?
See, the difficulty level will never go beyond moderate. It will never be a difficult paper. If it is a difficult paper, then there is really something wrong with the examiners.
Okay, sir, let me rephrase. Is it going to be an easy paper or a moderate paper this time?
Moderate.
Means again, it means I cannot tell you about my perspective. Maybe if you would look at the question paper, you can come back and tell me how it was.
Let me ask you in a different way. Based on your interactions with all the students and everyone, how many students do you think can get 100 out of 100 in end term?
Anupam.
The number of students.
You know, if you talk about the instructors having interaction with the students, I guess even if there are around 1,000 students enrolled in the term, we only get to interact with a maximum of 20 to 25 students in a term. Right? I'm talking about actual interaction.
We can extrapolate from there,
people,
right?
50, 60
There are
people.
like 18 people in this class, right? There are 18 people. How many people register for this course?
In a particular term?
In this specific term.
This term. That's
Sir, do you have any statistics for the quiz 2? Like how many, like what's
how
the
many
level?
passed and failed.
Yeah, what was the average or something?
See, I have the raw data, but I don't have any prepared kind of stats as of now.
So we need something to boost our confidence. I think that's what the students are saying.
Okay, in that case, the question paper is going to be easy.
Thank you, sir. That's what we wanted to hear.
Yeah.
Rest is okay. Rest is after the exams. It doesn't matter.
All right. Hey, thanks everyone. Thank you, sir.
All right, jokes apart, yes, as I said, means it won't be a more than moderate difficulty. It will always be either easy or somewhere in between.
So you can take this revision as a benchmark and then say.
Sorry?
Some easy questions.
Like, compared to this revision questions.
See, it is, if you talk about, just passing the paper, I think anyone who has watched just the live sessions, even just have attended or even watched the lectures, anyone should be able to clear the exam very easily. Means clearing 100 out of, clearing the exam with 100 out of 100 is a very different thing.
Sir, no mock?
Sir, I was going to ask about mock.
Mock. Do we have a mock for enter?
No, sir, we don't have.
We don't.
I mean, this time we don't, but normally we do.
Normally we
We
don't
have it in our courses.
Last courses also it wasn't.
Oh.
From last two
I don't remember an
courses, we
instance
don't
where
have.
I would have released enter examination mock.
Even in MAD1 there wasn't.
Oh yeah,
in MAD, does it
MAD
exist?
wasn't there. For MAD it wasn't there. But, yeah.
In MAD courses, I don't think we release mocks for end terms.
For quiz only we have.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
All right. So once again, as I said, the exam will always be either easy or somewhere less than moderate or equal to moderate, but never be more than that. So it's okay. Means as I said, in case you have, of course, put in some efforts during the term, you should be able to clear the exam with flying colors. That's not a question at all.
Thank you. Thank you for the motivation.
Clearing the exam should not be a concern. I think the concern should be scoring 100 out of 100.
Yeah.
All right. So
Thank
once
you so
again,
much, sir.
all the best.
On a lighter note, it's actually sitting through that examination hall, in the examination hall for the whole time is the biggest challenge.
Yeah, of course. Means
Afternoon
for
exam,
items,
right?
especially, I guess you will have to sit for 1.5 hours for a single subject alone. So at least 3 hours or 6 hours is something that you generally put for your Sundays. Yes, that also kinds of contribute to. Anyways, yeah, means this is how
Afternoon exams are all.
Thank you.
Tough.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Bye. Okay.
Okay, all right. So
Thank you,
once
sir.
again, for the last time, wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.